It worked. It worked. It worked. We're here. We're live. We did it. And you're here. Oh my goodness. And that was such an epic opening video. I hope that seeing my face afterwards didn't kill the momentum. But hey, welcome everybody to my book release live stream extravaganza for my book, The Shift, Surviving and Thriving After Moving. Oh, someone wanted loud applause. Here you go. You're welcome, folks. Tonight I'll be fulfilling all of my early morning FM radio host dreams. So we've got sound effects. I don't do that very often. But hey, I'm so glad you're here. I see you with your comments. I see you, Diane. I see you, Amanda. I see you, Faith. I see you, Logan. Oh, Logan. Logan, we're going to hear from Logan later. Hi, Kristen. Also, Kristin Howerton. Hi. We're going to talk to you in a little bit, too. Oh, this is so exciting. Okay, so hopefully you're here with a little bit of heads up as to what this night is all about. But the idea is that, my book came out today, and I, like many other authors and creatives over the last months and years, really have been working on certain endeavors that, we didn't plan for a worldwide pandemic to happen in the midst of our release, and yet here we are. So I thought, well, how can I still celebrate this? How can I still share this with people in a way that would be, fun, unique, interesting, engaging? And so we're trying this, and I'm gonna, for tonight, for a period of time, I'm gonna bring in live guests via Skype, which is super exciting. I'm gonna bring in some live music from some friends of mine. I'm gonna respond to some of your questions. So off to my right is my lovely wife, Kate, who's monitoring questions and comments, and you'll see and hear from her a little bit later. So if you have any good questions, I don't want bad questions, I'm just kidding. If you have any good questions or bad questions, put them in the comment section and we'll try to get to them later. A couple housekeeping notes. If anything happens with the feed, it freezes on you, it crashes, our technology here at the house doesn't hold because we've got all the kids Netflixing and doing all their thing, whatever. Just refresh the browser, refresh the feed, and we'll get right back online as soon as possible. But hopefully the technology will hold and we'll be all right. And then let us know if anything goes wonky with the sound earlier. For those of you who are early to the broadcast, I didn't realize my mic was on while I was playing the countdown. And so I was sharing some rather private information with just my wife. And you got to hear that. But I feel like for those of you who just now showed up, you might want to know that too. All I was saying is that I'm nervous. And I can already feel myself sweating. Why am I nervous? Because I'm excited to share this with you. And you're here. And it's live. So anything can happen. This is not pre-recorded, but I think you know that already. Okay. If you're just joining us, hi, I'm Colby. This is the book release live stream extravaganza for my new book, The Shift. Throughout the night, we're going to have a number of giveaways. You can see over my shoulder a pile of books that my publisher, Fortress Press, shout out to Fortress, has graciously said they would give away to you. And I'm not exactly sure how that's going to go. I think just at some point, I'll be like, it's time for a giveaway. And we'll figure out how do we do that. So maybe it's, raise your hand in the comment section or go follow me on Instagram. I don't know. Hi, Sarah Heath. Oh, thanks, Dan Hartman. This is awesome. Did you mean this in general or my cool sound effect that I gave for the giveaway? I'll do it one more time. No, I won't, because then you'll think we're doing a giveaway, and we're not. All right.
I like this question that just popped up.
Oh, it's a good question? Oh, I'll take a good question.
Yes, Colleen says, I love the look of the launch. What has been the most exciting about doing a launch online?
Ooh,
which I love that positive twist.
Yes, thank you, Colleen. So Colleen's asking, what's been the most exciting? Oh, you know what? I can put it up on the screen. Watch this. Boom, Colleen asked that question. Although I hid her with my logo. There you are, Colleen. Most exciting about the launch online. I think two things come to mind. One is I'm able to bring in other people to be a part of it. And most of the people said yes to my invite because they're doing what you're doing, just sitting at home, nothing. So why not give a few minutes of their time to this? So to be able to include lots of people from all over the country is super fun. And then two, I think what also is really exciting about this is, okay, this is going to be nerdy for a second, but I'm an Enneagram 3 with a 4 wing. And so I like that this is unique and special. And it feels, it feels fancy. It might not be to you. I don't care. It feels fancy to me. So I think that's pretty fun. So I'm having a good time. Okay. Here's how we're going to start. The first guest I want to introduce you to, and you don't really need an introduction for this person, quite honestly. If you are here at my page, then you already know of this person. But my friend Glennon Doyle just recently wrote a book. It's over here. You gotta reach it. #1 New York Times bestselling book, Untamed, by Glennon Doyle. And she and I had a conversation earlier. I did pre-record that bit because she's East Coast time. And so I'm going to now share that conversation with you in just a second here. And then after Glennon, we're going to hear from Brian McLaren. We might do a giveaway at that point. Then we've got some live music coming up from the likes of Justin McRoberts and Logan Martin. So stay tuned for all of that, what's coming up. I will clear that. And now I'm going to introduce to you my friend Glennon and our conversation around the shift. So hopefully the mic will be muted. Otherwise, you'll hear my weird commentary as well. All right. Thanks for being here, everybody. I'll see you back here live in just a few minutes when this video is concluded.
Okay, great. Good.
Thanks for making time for this.
Of course. I have to, I've been in, first of all, are we recording right now?
I just hit record, but it's not live, okay. So we're not, it's not doing anything yet, just saving the data.
So how are you feeling on launch day? Well, we can save this for a minute.
Okay. Yes, when Unclobber, first book, when it came out, I remember our mutual friend Rob Bell giving me the advice that he said, you can't control anything that happens once a book is out. The best books in the world never get sold, and really crappy books sell a lot. There's really very little correlation there. He said, so the best thing you can do is just enjoy the process of writing as much as you can, because that's really the cake. And then if anything happens after that, that's just frosting. So just make sure you have as good a cake as possible, and then you're set. And if you get frosting, great. If not, so with the first book, I just tried to release all the outcome. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't care. And it kind of worked. Like, I just enjoyed the writing of it. So then in this one, the writing was so much fun. It was so much fun.
Oh, was it so fun writing this one?
Yes.
I feel like I can tell. It has a lightness and a freedom to it.
Really?
That probably correlates with, even the title. Like, we get lighter as we go along. Like, Unclobber, that was some heavy stuff. Yeah. Like, even the title is heavy. Like, it was, and now the shift. it just feels so much. There's more freedom in it, more power. Did you feel that when you were writing?
I really did. I really did, because I felt like in many ways I'm just sharing a little bit of what I picked up along the way, and it has helped me immensely. Like, to just lay down some of this heavy baggage of you have to believe the right things, and God cares more than anything else about the thoughts in between your head. Like, once those start to dissolve, you can just relax into, I'm just loved as I am. This is amazing. So it did. It felt just like, you know what? If this can help people, which I know Elizabeth Gilbert says, don't write books trying to help people. But if it's okay, Liz, I really wanted to help people here. Like you don't have to carry these heavy beliefs. You don't have to carry these around with you. You can lay them down, and it's okay.
You don't even have to carry the belief that you shouldn't write to help people.
Hey, there you go. Look at you going meta.
I think I can be certain that Liz would be proud of you for letting down any belief that is not serving you.
Nice. I love it.
So what's your hope for the book?
My hope for the book, the space...
Both book.
Oh, look at that. Look at us. We are wonderfully nerdy in all the best ways. My hope... So it's aimed at people who have left or been kicked out of their more conservative families, communities, churches, whatever it is. So they've already done some deconstruction. Like, this is not a book for deconstruction. I'm assuming that some of that has already happened for people. Nor is it really a book about, what you might call reconstruction. I'm not telling you now, here's build your faith like this or build your beliefs like this. And it's not really a memoir, because I share a little bit, but so I'm trying to navigate these three. It's not really this, it's not really this. So my hope is that in this transition space, that as people leave their more conservative world and find something a little more, I call it progressive, whatever, open, inclusive, that journey is fraught with fear, confusion, some anger and resentment about where they came from, a lot of loneliness. So my hope for the book is that people would feel seen and known in that journey, that it, because it's hard doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It is hard, and it is scary. And here's a few things that I and others have found helpful, and if they are helpful for you, great. So I really hope to help people in that transition, that liminal space.
It is. That's what it does. I mean, Abby talks about that time as like you're holding on to one trapeze bar, and you have to, like, in order to eventually get to the next, you have to let go of both in the middle. It's just that, like, scary time. And some of us don't even ever grab onto another bar. Some of us just, like, fly. What is your thoughts about? Do you feel that, and I know some of this is in the book, but I know you work with people and you hear from people who have let go of some of the more fundamentalist ideas about Christianity. Yeah. And do you talk to people who have both moved into more progressive churches, inclusive churches, like you would say, and people who have just let go of the idea of organized religion completely, but still feel, connected to God and Jesus and all, but not connected to a church anymore? Yep. Do you see that a lot?
Yeah, the church conversation is tricky. It's tricky, and I did give, I tried to give a whole chapter to that topic. And there have been people that have come to Kate and mine's church that after just a few weeks, I can tell, and my advice to them is, you might need to just not come to church for a while. Like, I know you're starving for a community, but everything in this space is triggering you. It's poking at old wounds. Like this, you might need a Sabbath from church for a while. And I actually counsel them to stop going to church just to kind of give themselves space to breathe and move through some of that. But then here's what I found has really been interesting in this work is there's actually been a lot of people for whom maybe they've taken the break and then they come back. There's been a lot of people that find this very specific type of healing from their religious wounds and baggage in the context of a church again. And it's kind of like how, a lot of versions of talk therapy, you sit down and you're retelling these traumatic events, and in a safe environment, non-judgmental environment, where your brain can get new emotional responses to start to attach to these stories and experiences. I have
done that exact therapy.
Yes, same here. And I kind of feel like maybe some of the church spiritual wounding is similar, where some of those wounds might, I want to say only get healed, but they might, whatever. I'll say only and just be okay with the fact that they might only get healed in the context of a new, safe, non-judgmental church, where you can hear, for instance, a pastor stand up and read from the Bible, and suddenly it doesn't trigger you anymore. You're like, oh, it's okay if I don't like what he's saying. It's okay if I don't read my Bible. And I'm suddenly okay in this. We had a Sunday. Sorry, I just one quick story. We had a Sunday a couple months ago where we were meeting in a real traditional space with pews and stained glass, because the room had air conditioning and our other space didn't. Sometimes you got to go with creature comforts over spiritual comforts. And people were sitting in the pews, and suddenly the band started this old hymn, kind of a modern old hymn, and we realized the slides didn't get loaded into the screen. And so the song leader stops and he's like, oh, sorry guys, I guess we don't have lyrics today. Someone from the back shouts, well, it might be in the hymnals. And you could feel like half the room sort of like, hymnals? And then someone shouts out, oh yeah, it's on page 412. And there was this moment where like half the church were pulling out hymnals of like, this could be fun. The other half were like looking where the exits were. But I tell you what, we had people after that service tell me how healing that was. Because as it turns out, when you're in a safe, loving, non-judgmental community, you can revisit some of those things, like pulling out a freaking hymnal in a pew with stained glass church, and suddenly it's not as scary, it's not as painful. So the church thing is interesting for me.
I hear that. I mean, I remember the first time I ever walked into a church, and the minister, he started talking about God, and he used she again and again.
Yeah.
And I just bawled, Colby.
Wow.
Just like could not stop crying. Like it was something, and I would have told you, like, I don't need that. I don't need some guy like I claim it myself. You know? I all of these things.
Yeah.
Then when you feel it, it's the same way with Abby. Like when she's really, really, really deeply scarred from church, because she grew up a gay kid in a very strict Catholic church, and she just has been. She will tell you she's just furious at the God she doesn't believe in. Right? Like,
It's fair. That's fair.
However, but she sees a minister with the rainbow, whatever they're wearing, rainbow anything, or sees any kind of minister or priest or whoever just embracing, it just breaks her. It's like how when you get a snake bite. I don't know about snake bites because I don't go outside, but I've seen this on Survivor.
I was like, wait a minute, is this personal experience here? Because I have never gotten a snake bite. But yes, go on.
Snake, what is it? The antidote. That's what it's called, right? Yeah. The antidote has to have some of the poison in it. That's like the church thing. Like the healing has to come from the thing that bit you in the first place, maybe. I get that, Colby. That's good stuff. How does it feel, a really beautiful, world-shifting book in the middle of a global pandemic? Good time?
It's what's happening. I mean, there is absolutely zero that I can do about it. I'm just enjoying, like our mutual friend Jen Hatmaker's book also came out today, and I'm like, hey, I'm in good company. You had to cancel your tour, or you didn't. You did it before you had to, which was awesome. But like this is weird. But I think that this live event that I'm doing tonight, where some friends are coming on and playing music, and I think it could be really fun. And I never would have done. Like this is the invention that Mama Necessity has birthed tonight, and I'm here for it. So it's fine. It's fine. It's fun. It's different.
That's so good. You have a good attitude about this. You seem much less neurotic than most of my writer friends. See all the God.
I don't know. Maybe. Okay, I have taken you. You've been so gracious with your time, Glennon. Thank you for making space for this. I wonder if I can just ask you one question before we sign off here. Okay. For those whom they are experiencing some sort of shift, as you said, I love or I think you said your wife said it, letting go of one, haven't yet grabbed the other, may not, I don't know, you're in this sort of in-between terrifying space. Is there something that you would say, whether it's from your own experience in this process or what you picked up along the way, like what would you say to someone who's in the shift right now and they're like, they're struggling?
I mean, I guess I would say, I think what you said in the beginning of this book, that, well, let me just find it. I love how you started this because I feel like, okay, here it is. This could be like the whole tagline of the book. The whole what happened to my faith, nothing, you've said, and it's working. Like the idea that people feel afraid that the letting go means that they're losing their faith, this faith is disappearing, when in fact it is the faith that is propelling you, right? Away from nothing.
Yeah.
Right? The very faith you think you're losing is like, whoa, hello, like I'm the one that's making this progress in you, right? If you didn't have that swelling, that longing, that, oh, not this, that is your faith. And you can trust it.
Yeah.
You know, you can trust it still. Like, sometimes I feel like one of the very tricky things about any sort of fundamentalist organization, not just religion, but organization, is that often the goal is to separate you from your knowing, right? To constantly tell you not to trust yourself. And that's done in a million different ways with theology that tells us we're bad and we're wicked and all of that. But the scary thing about letting go of those old beliefs is that you actually do have to start to trust the inner self, right? That actually was never wicked and is never bad. And in fact, my belief is that the truest, deepest self that you have is God, right? Which is why whenever I think of Jesus, I always just think, okay, the ultimate is I and the Father are one. So like I would say I and the Mother are one, right? Just because that's how I think of it. But the ultimate goal is to get to the place where you are so aligned with that deep, deep knowing, that deepest, truest, beautiful self, that you will be able to say I and the Mother are one, right? But you gotta let go of that ring that's telling you not, whatever you do, don't trust that deepest self.
Yeah.
That's why I think that sometimes, Colby, the hardest place on earth to find God is in any fundamentalist religion.
Yep. Because
the main goal is to separate you from that which you must be tied to have any sort of faith.
That's right.
So, so I would just say to them the same thing that you say, you know, that longing inside of you, that knowing, not this, that desire for widening and opening, that can be trusted.
Yeah. I love that. It reminds me of a story in one of the Gospels where Jesus turns to his friends. And at this point, Jesus is exhausted. And he'd lost a close friend. He'd had Pharisees coming after him. He'd had people turning away from him. The dude is exhausted. And he turns to his closest friends and he says, what are people saying about me? You know, he does like this check-in, like, what are people saying about me? Like, which just feels really human and normal to me. And his friends are like, well, some say you're like John the Baptist come back from the dead. Others say you're Elijah. Like the general consensus is you're a reincarnation of some dead guy. And Jesus says, okay, what about you guys though? Like, what do you think about me? What do you say about me? Which again feels so normal. Like, when I don't know who I am anymore, I need to turn to the people who know me best and be like, remind me who I am. Yeah. And Peter says, oh, you are the Christ. You are, which is to say, you are the divine manifestation, or you're the earthly manifestation of the divine. That's who you are. And then to your point, what you said, Jesus says, oh man, blessed are you, Peter, because no one revealed that to you. No one told you that. And then Jesus says, but my Father in heaven revealed that to you. Or as you said, my mother, the divine within revealed. Like Peter had this deep knowing that was who Jesus was. And Jesus is like, oh yeah. No, you figured that out all on your own. That's cool. Anyway, so I love what you said there. It reminded me of that.
The knowing, that's the journey. It's trusting. For me, it's been the letting go of the idea that it's out there somewhere, and the terrifying, beautiful, freeing, difficult journey of realizing it's just all in here.
Yeah. All right, G, I'm going to let you get back to your wonderful family. And I think everyone in the... We're just about to do one last plug for each other.
I really am. I'm so proud of you. I'm so grateful for you. People like me are just very grateful for people like you who are fighting this fight and don't have to be, and loving the way you do. And I just love you, and I love your family, and give Kate a big hug for me.
I will. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. How great was that? Oh, that was so fun. Glennon, thank you for spending some time with me. As you can see, the sun has gone down a little bit over the course of that video. Make sure I'm in focus here a little bit. No, that's the wrong way. Oh well, don't worry about it. Oh, it's the wrong camera. Switching. There we go. That's the camera I want. I meant to tell you guys, by the way, if the camera battery might die at some point, I'll switch over to this less pretty one. Switch the battery and then come back. Not that you needed to know that, but there you go. Okay. Thanks I was watching all your comments, and it was so lovely seeing you engage with what Glennon was saying and what came up in our conversation. And I hope you do the same thing with our next guest. Would you please join me in welcoming Mr. Brian McLaren?
Hey, everybody.
Hello, Brian.
Hey, Colby.
Oh, my goodness. How fun is this? Look at you with your guitars behind you.
That's right.
I'd say quarantining's working out for you if you have all that to play with.
That's true. I wish I've been waiting for a chance to be stuck at home. So
Well, Brian, before I played that video with Glennon, I said, look, if you're here watching my thing, if you're familiar with any of my work, then you probably don't need me to introduce Glennon. And I would say that is even more true, Brian, with you, if for no other reason than because when I was watching people say, talk about the book on Clobber, and I don't know if you remember this, but in that book, I talked about those early moments of my life when I began my shift, when I began sort of moving away from my conservative roots. And it was your fault. Like, you did it. You did that to me with your book, A New Kind of Christian. You opened up everything for me. And so I attribute, a lot of where I am today and who I am today to you, Brian. So I really just brought you on here to butter your bread for 10 minutes. That's all.
Well, that's kind of you to say. And I should say, Colby, that I think your books are doing the same thing for so many people. And that's exciting. It feels like we're in a process that's going to take many generations. And, some of us say, hey, I smell smoke in the house here. And others of us say, well, let's open a window. And others say, hey, it's getting worse. Let's open the door. And we each have a job to do in this process of helping people evacuate one place that's no longer hospitable, dare to go out, as Glennon said, let go of one trapeze and reach for the other, and then find that there actually is a wonderful home waiting for us that we never would have found if the one we were on hadn't caught on fire.
Wow. I love that. Well, Brian, as you know, I'm here talking about this new book, The Shift. And, part of why I wrote this, if you're just joining us on the Facebooks, my name's Colby, and this is a book release live stream extravaganza. And I'm here live with Brian McLaren. And part of why I wrote this, I talk about how it's not really a memoir, right? This isn't the story of me losing my faith. This isn't a book about deconstruction, how to tear apart things. It's not even really about reconstruction. I'm not saying, and so now here believe these things. A little bit of all of that's sprinkled in, but mostly what this is, or what I tried to make it be, and I said this in my conversation with Glennon, is this kind of helping with this journey as people are moving along this spectrum, where they leave something more conservative and find themselves towards something more progressive, which I know you've written a ton about, and you have experienced yourself and interacted with, at this point, I would say tens of thousands of people who have done similar journeys. I'm wondering, Brian, if you could share with us, and from your experience of your shift, going back however many years ago you need to go back, what was something that was challenging in that journey, in that navigating space for you?
Gosh, Colby, there are so many things. I mean, I remember a dear friend of mine whose wife died suddenly, like she was totally healthy. We went to bed one night, she had a stroke, and she didn't wake up. And we were talking a few months later, and he said, Brian, it's not like I had my arm cut off. He said, it's like I had part of every single cell in my body torn out from me because she was part of everything. Well, that's, I think, how it is for us with our faith. You know, it's part of everything. When I went through this shift in several stages, I really started as a teenager, and then I made sort of a few steps out of fundamentalism into maybe what we would have then called more progressive evangelicalism. And then some years later, I felt like the progressive evangelicalism, I still needed more space. And at each of those stages, I felt like my relationships with my family were going to get complicated. My relationship with my Christian community was really going to get complicated, including my mentors and my best friends. My relationship with my own kind of soul was going to get complicated because I was going to have to embrace not knowing things, where a huge part of my theology and my Christianity had been about knowing and getting clarity and this thing back then that we called the Christian worldview, as if somebody had the only one.
That's right.
And then, of course, when I was a pastor, a complexity of it was that this is my job, too, and I was paid to have this stuff figured out. I was paid to know. I was paid to be certain. So you put all those things together. The challenge was that I had been such a fervent, good disciple of conservative evangelicalism that now I was going to have to become bad at something I was good at in order to start to become good at something that I didn't know yet. Wow.
So I think you know this. I'm an Enneagram Type 3. If that was the way it was framed to me, I would I'd never go. If I'm like, no, you have to be bad at something. Like, but hearing you describe how the challenges were just layer upon layer and aspect upon aspect, like it really, I was thinking about when I was trying to put together what I wanted to address in this book. I'm like, honestly, this is just part one. If this is a survival guide for this is just part one, because there are myriad topics that I don't even have a chance to address. Like you said, the challenges are just deep.
But can I just say, when I read your book, Colby, I just thought you went to the heart of the critical issues. You did it in the minimum number of pages necessary to really make the point. Like, you didn't waste people's time. It was practical. It was clear. Like, I just thought, man, this is like a life ring throwing to somebody who's drowning. And I wish that I'd had this book when I was going through all this. I felt so alone. I felt like, I didn't feel like there was anybody throwing me any life rafts. I felt like there was a bunch of people throwing me, you're going to hell.
That's right. Yeah. Thanks for saying that, Brian. I wonder if you would share on the flip side as you think back to your shift, because it's not all bad. Nothing's all one thing or another. A lot of people who go through this shift also are experiencing, this is part of the confusing part, they're also simultaneously experiencing this liberation, this lightness, this newfound curiosity that leads to all sorts of. So tell us something about, as you remember going through your shift, what was one of the really beautiful things during that journey?
Yes. Well, one of the things I hated most about my fundamentalist background is it put up a barrier between me and other people. Everybody I meet, I had this checklist. Is he saved? Is he spirit-filled?
Yeah.
Is he, does he understand this doctrine? Like, I had this grid that came between me and every other person. And if I was going to be faithful, I had to make judgments about that person. And I had to put that person in a category: safe, dangerous, familiar, unfamiliar, one of us, one of them, open to, my message, not open. And one of the great liberations was, this sounds so obvious, but I met a person, and this person was my neighbor, and all I had to do was love them, It didn't matter who they were. It was like the veil was torn away, not just between me and God, the veil between me and my neighbor was torn away, so that I could encounter a person, and I could just say, whoever you are, wherever you're coming from, here's what it was. It wasn't, I want to be your friend in spite of the fact that I'm a Christian and you're not. Right. It was, because of the kind of Christian I now am, I love you, of course. It doesn't matter. It's unconditional. It's non-discriminatory. That was a huge liberation. Oh, my goodness. There are many, many more.
I love that. And it makes me... and people like your neighbor in that scenario prior to your shift, they feel that energy. They feel that sense of like, are you just building a relationship with me so that this can go? Like they pick up on that sort of conditional energy. And so when, like you said, when it's not there, not only do you feel it, but I feel like other people get that as well. Like, oh, you're just a human. Like, you're just another person. And you can suddenly have relationships in all new ways.
Yes, it's really, really true. Really true. And that is liberating for the other person. It's liberating for me. Yeah. And I think, in a way, it's liberating for the spirit in the sense that the love can just flow then. It doesn't have to, there aren't strings attached. It's not utilitarian. The love can just flow. And that feels so right, healthy. Yeah.
Brian, this has been a real treat. Thank you for carving out some time. Before I let you go, my wife, Kate, is fervently waving at you from off screen, sending all of her love toward you. You might have heard she loves you, Brian. Just give us one for people who might be watching now or watching this later, if they're in the middle of the shift. I've seen some people share comments that they're feeling it now. What's just maybe one pastoral word you would say to them?
Well, I'm not being cute here. The first thing I'd say is read Colby's book, okay? But I'll tell you something I would say. I would say, give yourself permission to see a distinction between God and your beliefs about God. Oof. In other words, these things have been completely fused in your mind, but give yourself permission to say, maybe God isn't exactly the same as my beliefs about God. To use a biblical example, you remember when Paul speaks in Athens on Mars Hill, and he tells the people about an unknown God. Yeah. He's telling them, maybe the God that you don't know is better than the God that you know, or the gods that you know. Woo! And I would say to people, it may be that you think your beliefs are so great, but you're also having problems with them, your beliefs about God. If you're willing to trust God and not just your beliefs about God, you might get to, I think that will be your portal to a better place. Does that make sense?
100%, yes. And I think it's really imperative to even just experiment with that. I was talking to someone the other day, and I'm like, what if people just gave themselves permission to just try something like that for a bit. You don't have to fully commit to it because it's terrifying at first, but just try experimenting. What would that be like to separate whatever the divine is from your beliefs about the divine, that those might not be the same. Yes. Brian, thank you. Thank you for being on here tonight. Thank you for your kind words about the shift and my ministry. You are wonderful. And people have been, you can watch this feedback later and see the love that the folks are giving you. But and let me just say, Colby, that this book is really going to help people. I wish it weren't so needed. But it is so needed. Yeah. And I'm so grateful that you wrote it. Thanks. Awesome. Thanks, Brian. Love you, buddy.
You too.
So that was Brian McLaren. How great was that?
I'm freaking out over here. Having a moment.
I just love that guy. Like, I don't even care that the graphics on the screen before I'm ready to talk about the giveaway. I'm just sort of basking in the joy that was talking to Brian. Thank you so much for making time for us tonight. Okay, so we do now have a giveaway to get to. And any thoughts on how to do this, babe? Anything come to mind? Anybody over there? So how about let's do this. So if you want a copy of the Shift, and if you already have one, I can mail this to anybody. You just tell me who you want it to be mailed to. You just comment right now in the comment section, and Kate, over the next 30 seconds, will pick a random winner. So just do a comment, whatever you want. It could be an emoji, it could be a hi, it could just be any comment. Just fill that comment section if you want to enter into the giveaway, and my wife will randomly pick one over the next 30 seconds, and we'll announce who the winner is shortly. Wanted to let you know that coming up, we've got more special online live guests, such as Kristin Howerton of Rage Against the Minivan fame. We've got Kevin Garcia, who recently wrote Bad Theology Kills. We've got a fantastic podcast, The Tiny Revolution. Love Kevin. And here in just a minute, we're going to hear some of our first live music from Logan Martin. You might recognize that last name. Yes, I am practicing nepotism. And I did invite my little brother to come share some music. And that's just because I love him and I think his music is amazing. So he's going to share a song with us here in a minute. Oh, I see the comments coming in. Oh, babe, I don't know how you're managing all this. You have to pick one. Don't worry. We'll do more giveaways if you don't win the first one.
I'm good. I got this.
Okay. So this freshly out of the box, never been opened, except I just did right there, book. I will personalize it. Whether it's to you or to a family member or friend, and just direct message me on Facebook, say, you picked me to be a winner, and send me your address and I'll mail it to you. And I'm going to check in with my co-host, Kate, to see if we have a winner yet.
Through my super sophisticated system over here.
Super sophisticated system. The winner is
Julie Hilty. And forgive me if I didn't say her last name.
Julie Hilty! Everybody. Hit the A. Julie Hilty, everybody. Yay! Okay, Julie, thank you for playing tonight. I hope you stick around. You didn't just come here for free stuff, did you? Julie, send me your address and how you want me to write this out to you, and I will get it to you stat. Okay, while I get my brother on the Skype call, I'm going to share a short, this isn't long Glennon video, this is short video that I shot starring my cat with an excerpt from a portion of my book. So enjoy this. I suggest we conceive of faith like a posture, a way we might hold ourselves in openness and trust. Faith is the conscious decision to say yes to the perpetual possibility of transformation and growth. Throughout the day, my family's cat wanders around our house in search of sunny spots, bright spaces on the couch or the carpet where she might lay to warm her belly. And faith is kind of like that. An awareness that there's a brilliant light shining out there, and we're constantly adjusting, shifting, turning ever so slightly toward it, always staying open not just to the possibility of its presence, but also to the idea that the light can change us, and that change is good. And to risk pushing this metaphor past its usefulness, we understand that even if we find the light on the edge of the couch, there's no sense in planting immovable roots in that spot. We might very well wake up shivering from an afternoon nap, having discovered we're no longer in the light. So, once again, we assume the humble posture of openness and trust, i.e., faith, as we continue our quest. They say never work with kids or animals, but I gotta tell you, I think my cat did a really good job. Don't you think? All right, so that's Nala the cat, and she helped me to show a metaphor that I use in the book. I think I can hear, Logan, I think I can hear you. Are you on?
I might go live any second, so...
We hear some people
you hear me?
talking.
Oh, yes, I hear you, Logan.
Cool.
Awesome. And we heard some people in the background. It's all right. That happened to me at the beginning of the live stream. I told people all about how I was going to be nervous and sweat through. All right. So I'd like you all to welcome with comments saying hi. I know. Okay. Amanda Swinkle says, now I feel like an audiobook with your reading would be great. Amanda and everyone else, here's what I need you to do. I need you to tweet, Instagram, Facebook, at Broadleaf Books, or at Fortress Press, and tell them that. Tell them that. Okay. Because they haven't yet committed to that.
It wouldn't even open my page.
Logan.
Swinkle says,
This?
now I feel like an audio.
Logan, my sound is coming back through your setup. Okay. All right. This is great. Okay, so I'm now going to introduce you all to my dear friend and brother, Logan Martin. Logan, do you have video to send me?
I think so. Is it sending? I see it.
Oh, there you are. Boom shakalaka. To quote our old NBA Jam game. Hi, Logan.
Hey.
You're now here.
I am. This is amazing.
This is a lot of fun, isn't it? I'm having a good time. You've been watching up until this moment, right? Or did you just set your watch for it to come on right when it was your time? Which is cool.
No, I have been on the whole time. It's amazing.
Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, so Logan, you are hands down one of my top 7 favorite singer-songwriters. And when you went into retirement a number of years ago, I wept. But I love the fact that you entertained the idea of coming out of retirement to share a song with us tonight. But more than that, I just love sharing this moment with you because you and I have gone through so much together. And I thought of you several times when I was writing this, as I was kind of writing about the place from which we came. And I'm like, I wonder how Logan would think back to these memories. And obviously you and I have traveled some similar journeys. So we're in similar places now. And I just think it's great to have you here in this moment with me because I love you and I love your music. Do you want to say anything before you share your song?
No, it is a privilege and an honor to get to be a part of this, and especially following the 2 people you just interviewed. So
that's true. Glennon and Brian opened for you.
Yeah, strangely, I spent 10 years being on stages and doing this, but I'm like super nervous. And I wanted to write a song for this event and for your book release. So I came out of retirement and then wrote a song, which I haven't written a song in like 4 years. So I don't know how it's going to go, but I was struggling in the beginning writing it because I realized I have progressed or shifted where I have been for the last many years, but I haven't been in any sort of practice of writing it down. So I was wanting to write about where I am now, but also I never really dealt with writing or getting through the feelings of that initial shift. So it was a really strange feeling for me.
Yeah.
So I ended up just writing a song about all the shifters and the drifters and the in-betweeners and the people who don't quite feel ready and aren't really sure if they're willing to give up the things they might lose in that shift. And I think your book's going to be really, really important for people who are in that. So we'll see how this goes.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Logan Martin.
I'm not ready to lay it all down. There's far too much comfort in the rhythm I've found. I'm not ready to sing a new song. It's too unfamiliar and they won't sing along. Afraid of the answers, all my questions are wrong. But ready or not, I'm coming. After the earthquake comes a tidal wave. Ready or not, I'm coming. Like the dawn gives rise to another day. Ready or not, I'm not ready for what it all means. To give up these lines, find the space in between. I'm not ready for peace or for pain. With the chaos, leave a balance I could never repay. Will I end up with nothing at the end of the day? So ready or not, I'm coming. After the earthquake comes a tidal wave. Ready or not, I'm coming. Dawn gives rise to another day. You're ready or not. Oh, ready or not. Am I ready for beautiful things? When the soil gets shifted, you can see the unseen. When the soil gets shifted, you can see the unseen.
Whew. You got me some sort of feels over here, man. That was I'm like, can we really quick reprint this and then put the CD like in the inside front cover? Remember how books used to be just do that? That was beautiful.
Thanks, man.
How did that feel?
Thanks.
Singing, sharing that.
Yeah, real uncomfortable and weird and wonderful and like home and like far, far away at the same time.
It's a good way to describe it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm really thankful for you in my life and for your voice, not just the singing, but the part that speaks life into me and so many others. So you're a wonderful human.
Thanks
I love
for
you.
having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
You too.
All right, bye.
Yeah. See you, man.
So that is why I love the music of Logan Reed Martin. How great was that? Thank you so much, Logan. All right. We have now coming up. Oh, that's the wrong slide. Whatever, guys. It happens sometimes. This is hard. we've got the wonderful Kristin Howerton coming up. All I got to do is start the Skype call again, Kristen, so that then you can jump on, because I have to stop and start it every time. It's a bit confusing. So now, Kristen, if you can hear this, it is live, and you can hop in whenever you're ready, and you'll be up on the screen. If you do not yet follow me, I would invite you to follow me on the Instagrams and the Twitters at Colby Martin. Special shout out to my mom for giving me a unique name like Colby, so that I could have my own Twitter handle and not fight with people at Colby Martin. Kristen, hi.
Hey, how are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm having a great time tonight, and it's going to be so much more funner now that you're here.
Much more funner.
Much more funner. Have you seen those billboards about Funner, California? Because you live down these parts.
Are we funner?
I don't know what they mean. They say Funner,
know.
California, and I don't know what that means. Kristen, you have a book coming out. I know we're here to celebrate my book, but I'm going to stick your little book cover up in the corner there because your book is coming out, and I'm super stoked for it. Because you've been raging against the van for a long time now, right?
Well, I am raging against it, although I did lose my battle. I do drive a minivan. It is in my driveway, but I have written a blog called Rage Against the Minivan for a long time.
Yeah, and it's fantastic. It's full of just honest reflections about the life of parenting humans, small humans.
Yes.
And you also have, so if you're just joining us, everyone, by the way, my name is Colby Martin, and I'm doing this live stream event because my book, The Shift, Surviving and Thriving After Moving from Conservative to Progressive Christianity, just came out today, and we're in the midst of a worldwide pandemic, so I can't do a live event, but we can do things online, which has its own degree of interest and fun, I think. Oh, I see what you did. You put my little book behind you. Oh, look at that. Staging that area. That's fantastic.
Well, I have to say, though, this bookshelf behind me is a giant mess. And then this is a soundproofing curtain because I've been recording my audiobook right here in my bedroom.
Ooh, how's that been going?
I don't know. I've never done it before, so I have no idea. I guess it's going okay. It feels pretty awkward, but...
Yeah. I did just a few voiceovers for some of the videos I'm playing tonight. I'm like, wow, doing a whole book? That's challenging.
It was a lot, yeah.
Are you improvising a little bit as you are reading the script?
No, you know what's funny? I wish I would much prefer to improvise, but you have to say everything exact. So there's actually a director in my ear correcting me every time I say, one little wrong word, which is apparently a lot. Apparently I make a lot of mistakes when I read, so. I
did not realize you had to be so specific.
I didn't either. Maybe I should have practiced, but I didn't, so here we are.
Sarah Heath says, two humans I adore. And I just had to put that one up there. Hi, Sarah. I don't know if you're out of your meeting yet. She said earlier she's in a meeting and had me on mute, but she was going to check in later. So, okay, Kristen, thank you for making time for this tonight.
Also, Deneen says Funner, California is an actual town.
Oh, Deneen says that Funner... Oh, let's put this up there. Deneen says Funner, California is an actual town, but it's a marketing gimmick to get people to visit. Oh.
I had no idea there was a actual town called Funner, California.
I had no idea either. That's amazing. Okay, well, I don't know where it is, but I have a new goal when quarantine's over. Most people will be like celebrating with friends. I'm just going to try to find Funner. Okay.
Totally.
So what I'd love if you would like to share with us, because I know that you have made a similar shift. And I say similar because honestly, the specifics of everyone's shift as they've moved from something a little more conservative to something a little more progressive, the specifics are going to be different, unique, nuanced for each person. But there seems to be these common themes that show up in this journey, which is part of why I started to get the idea for like a survival guide, because there's enough commonalities that I think a book like this could be helpful for. And then I also think that in people's specifics, so this is why I want to get to your story, particulars help illuminate the universals. So I'd love if you would share from your experience, as you reflect back onto your shift, what was something that you found particularly challenging as you said goodbye to a more conservative, or were kicked out, I don't remember how your story goes, and moving towards something more progressive?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I resonated with some of what Brian was saying in terms of kind of grieving the loss of certainty. I was raised very fundamentalist. I was raised that every single word of the Bible is the literal, absolute truth. And so when I started to shift away from that fundamentalism, it was hard to not feel absolutely certain about everything, and almost to feel like, okay, if I pull one thread of this tightly woven feeling of certainty, then maybe nothing's certain, because that's how I was raised. I was raised with that faulty theology of, if you don't believe every single word as literal truth, then how could you believe anything? And I had internalized that. So some of it for me was walking that back and going, you know what, actually I think I can look at the Bible as a text and Jesus as a spiritual leader. And I think I can say, I think this was in the context of culture. And I think this maybe wasn't literal. And I can still be a Christian in all of that. So I think that was a component of it for me, was grieving. Because, man, certainty feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's great. Certainty,
I missed
you
it.
can build all sorts of things on
I
certainty.
missed it a lot.
Yes.
And I like certainty. I don't like ambiguity. I talk about that in my own book. I'm a person who wants to know what's going to happen. So that was hard for me. And you and I have talked about this before too. I think the other thing that was really difficult for me was leaving the community that I had built. I grew up in a certain denomination. I left that denomination because I did feel it was too stringent. It was very, very fundamentalist. But then I moved into a new fundamentalist community where people had tattoos and there was a coffee shop. Does that make sense? Like, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Same completely fundamentalist views, same homophobia, new tattoos.
Yeah.
So, just dressed up in a different package. And I think within that, I started to, my views started to shift, especially around LGBT rights, immigration, politics, all those kinds of social justice issues that push many of us in a different direction. And I felt that community dissolving because people were finding my views to be threatening, because they held on to that certainty and I was ripping at their threads. And I could see that my friendships within this community were not tenable if I was not kind of following the line.
Yeah.
So for me, I had to walk away from a church where I had worked, where my spouse had been on staff for 10 years, where my children had grown up. It was my everything. It was just my total foundation. And that was a huge loss for me. And there was a ton of grieving there. And I really wondered, who would be the people that show up for me if I'm not in this church community? And I had to build that, some outside the church community and then some within a different church community. But that was very difficult for me.
Yeah. Those two things you brought up, the scariness of like tipping that first domino, like,
yeah,
is this going to tip over everything? Because I think, like yourself,
is it a house of cards?
Yes, and we were told if one thing in the Bible is not true, then the whole thing is not true. It was an all or nothing, zero sum game, which is terrifying then to question anything. And yeah, that's I tell you what, when I was telling people that I was working on this book, like one of the number one things was like, are you going to talk about the pain of losing your entire community? And because that is a type of pain that I don't know how to really describe. If you haven't felt it, and you don't really like, it's unique. It's a unique type of emotional, psychological pain to lose this group that you'd invested in for so long, and in your mind for like no good reason. You're like, I'm still Kristin. What is going on? Why?
Yes. But you know what? I do want to say this, and I don't want to sound like I'm casting judgment on that group of people. But at the same time, as you said, Colby, I was still me. I was still at the core who I am.
Yeah.
And I realized that if my friendships could not withstand a shift, and it's not even like I became an atheist. I became a more progressive Christian. If those people could not still be my friend, those weren't the rooted friendships that I imagined that they were. And when I left that and then found new friends, I feel that now the friendships and communities that I'm in, I can say anything. Yeah. I can speak any doubts. I can walk in and say, I don't know what I think about this or that. And these friendships are built on like a core soul level, not just that we agree on a theology, if that makes sense. And and so I would just say for anyone, you know, maybe who's watching and feeling that fear of leaving a community, that I promise it's going to be really hard. But on the other side, I do think that there is a stronger sense of community waiting for you, maybe with less judgment, maybe with deeper roots than you even imagined.
I love that you said that. I love that you talked about the type of community on the other side of the loss of community, because it's built on different things, and I think it's built on things that are more sustainable. To your point, I don't know. I want to say truer. Like I don't want to accuse previous relationships and previous communities as being shallow. That doesn't have to be true at all for people. And yet, if it's built around a commitment to a shared belief, then there is a shallowness to that. So I'd love that you're speaking to the type of community on the other side of that loss.
Yeah. And I mean, I will say too, having experienced, like I was so involved in my church, that I realized that so much of that friendship was built around the doing of church, which I know you know what that means. I mean, it's like your shared experience is doing church, is putting the church together, or, you know, creating the structure or things like that. And you realize when you take that away, that scaffolding away, is there an actual friendship underneath of reaching out, of doing life together outside of doing church together? That I would just caution for everybody. You know, it's like you have to make sure that you're actually investing in each other's lives, not just parallel play of doing church together and believing the same things.
Yeah. That it's so good. I'm trying to be conscious of time, and I've kept you, I think, longer than I told you I'd keep you. So I want to say, thank you so much for making time for this
I'm
tonight.
So happy to.
2, just want to remind everybody that Rage Against the Minivan is Kristen's book that comes out
June 9th.
June 9th.
Yes.
And I don't know what sort of condition the world will be in. So if there's anything I can do to help if you want to do a live stream extravaganza, you just let me know. And then finally, 3, as I let you go here, just share one thing that you found really liberating in your shift. Like just one thing that really made the whole, right alongside all the hard parts, what was the part that was like, oh, but I can see the new life on the other side here.
I really have to piggyback on what Brian said. I find it very liberating to look at everyone in my life as just a friend, not a project, not someone I need to convert, not someone I need to refine, but just I feel freer to love in the way that feels more natural to me. Yeah,
so well said. Kristin, you're fantastic. Your voice is good in the world. You're doing great work. I'm really proud of you, and Thanks for having you on. Thanks for being
Thanks
on.
for having me. Congratulations on the book.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Kristin. Bye-bye.
Can I bring a comment to your attention really quick?
Yes, we have a comment to attention bring.
This person who is calling themselves Spike Z.
Spike Z has a question.
No, just a great comment.
Oh, okay.
I've been off Facebook for more than 4 years, and I made an account just to watch this. Had to bring that to your attention.
What up, Spike Z? Thank you for doing that. I have a sneaky suspicion I know the identity behind Spike Z.
Nice.
But we're really glad. Okay, let's do, let's see. Let's find, Oh, where is it? No, not that. How about this? Time for a giveaway. There's the sound effect, which means, everybody, we're giving away another copy of the book. So here's how you win this copy. You win this copy by either already having followed me on Instagram. So if you follow me on Instagram, then you qualify. Or just commit to following me later at Colby Martin. It's simple enough, right? Just commit to following at Colby Martin. But if you follow me or plan to follow me on Instagram, you qualify for this next round. So just go ahead and sound off in the comment section. Say me if you follow me on Instagram, or if you commit to, when the broadcast is over, following me on Instagram. We'll give you time to do that. And again, the giveaways are, I'll send them to you, personalized if you want. If you already have a copy or you want to send it to somebody else, let me know who to send it to, their address. I'll send it to them. These have been provided by the publisher. Thank you at Broadleaf Books and at Fortress Press. And so again, if you follow me on Instagram, or if you promise to follow when we're all done, then you qualify for this next round.
Spike says you're correct.
Oh, what up, Spike? I'm glad I know who you are. I'm really glad you joined us. So I'm going to give you a few more seconds to sound off while Kate...
Oh, I just figured out who Spike is. Hi, Spike. I love
Kate
you.
just figured out who you were. So while Kate picks out the winner...
Your Instagram followers?
Yes.
That's not paying for right now?
Yeah, so these people all say either they already follow me or they're committing to follow me.
Yep.
And then I'm going to play one more, another video, a quick video, while I get our next guest.
Can we
coming.
laugh at Katie Roll for saying that she's following you now as though she hasn't been, just because she
Yes.
really wants
No, that's if you're a current follower or a future follower, that's totally fine too. Where did I put that? Somewhere along here. Yeah, we already know. There's a graphic. Okay, yes, great. Coming up. So we just had Kristen on the program. Thank you so much, Kristen. I adore you. You're wonderful. In a minute here, we're going to get some live music from Justin McRoberts. And then shortly after that, we're going to hear from Kevin Garcia. But right now, we are doing a giveaway for those who follow me on Instagram or commit to following me later. So, Kate, do we have a winner?
Yes. Her name is Cheryl Lyle.
Cheryl Lyle. Oh, Cheryl. Wonderful.
You know Cheryl?
I do know Cheryl.
Well,
this is great.
She follows you everywhere.
I promise we don't... Kate didn't know that I know Cheryl. Kate's just picking random people. So, Cheryl, this book is for you or for a person of your choice. Just message me in the Facebooks to let me know who to send that to and what the address is, and we will get that in the mail, because I think mail still works. All right. Now, here's a short video. And then we're going to get the lovely, talented songwriter Justin McRoberts on the line here. So this is, again, it's another excerpt from the book, The Shift. Not to brag, but I'm pretty good at sleeping. Normally, it welcomes me like a freshly hired Walmart greeter. But one evening, just before finishing this book, it treated me more like the Costco exit guard who scans your receipt, glances with unprovoked judgment toward your cart, and won't let you go until you acquire the Sharpie swipe of victory. Frustrated, I stared into the darkness, scanning the receipt of my brain for what it was that held me back from passing to the void. Finally, after about 30 restless minutes or so, it hit me. I was anxious about this book. Not in terms of finishing it or meeting deadlines, but the thought of its content becoming public, it started to make me panic. That's interesting, I mused. This is all stuff that you've been preaching at your church for the past 6 years. Plus, in your first book, Unclobber, you took on one of the most volatile topics in Christianity, homosexuality and the Bible. You're not unaccustomed to entering potentially treacherous territory or questioning dearly held beliefs, so why the anxiety now? And the more I sat with this observation, the clearer it came into focus. You see, it's one thing to preach a sermon to 150 people or so who know me and trust me and who can engage in immediate feedback and dialogue if needed. But putting those same thoughts on paper for strangers to read with no potential for dialogue, that's different. The ideas in this book, they represent almost an entire 180-degree shift from the belief system I grew up with and practiced for most of my life. The Colby from a dozen years ago wouldn't put his name to even 5% of the following observations and insights. Anxiety denied me sleep that night because I knew that once this book releases, there would be no putting the toothpaste back in the tube. Don't get me wrong, I'm proud of the work I've done and the journey I've traveled, but there's still a vulnerability involved in so publicly recanting on what I used to think, while daring to suggest that I also might have some insights on how to survive and thrive becoming a progressive Christian. Plus, I'm assuming that Colby a dozen years from now will likely cringe at parts of this book. Because faith, as I'll suggest later, implies a dynamic evolving, not a static arriving. And I share this with you simply so that you know that I know that this stuff is vulnerable. Trying to sort through the tangled mess of our spiritual heritages, religious identities, and evolving beliefs, it can get messy. And that's why I sense a survival guide like this, well, it might be of some use. So that was a bit of my experience about writing this book. As I discovered before it came out, I'm like, whoa, I'm about to put out all these ideas and I can't take it back, because once it's in a book form, there's no taking it back. It's in there forever. And it's vulnerable stuff. It's when you start to acknowledge like that you don't believe these things anymore. When you name that, you name it to other people. You know what I'm talking about, right? Justin McRoberts. Everybody say hi, Justin. I just played an applause soundtrack for you. Yeah, it's great. So Justin McRoberts is now live with us here at the Shift's book release Livestream Extravaganza with me, Colby Martin. If you're just tuning in, I've been having guests on all night long and some live music as well. And I came across Justin's music back in college. You've been making music for a long time, brother. Good music for a long time.
Yeah, a couple decades.
And that college was Western Baptist College, which now no longer wants to acknowledge that I went there. And I think now would probably not invite you back if I were to guess on it.
You and I would both have to meet somewhere else in town.
Yes. We'd stage a alternative concert at a venue across the street or something. Hi, Justin.
Hi, man. Good to see you. This looks great. You're doing a great job.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot. As a type 3 Enneagram, that's all I ever want to hear in life, is this looks great and you're doing a great job. Feel
it now. It's working. Okay, good.
So, Justin, you dropped a new single last week, and when I heard it, I fell in love with it. And I think I texted you this, and I said, I don't know if as a songwriter, if you're okay with this, but I'm going to tell you what the song meant to me. Like, I don't know what you thought when you wrote it. But
that's what I hoped.
Okay, good. For me, it was this powerful picture of telling, like we had just talked with Kristin Howerton, and she was talking about the pain of what happens when you make your shift and that old tribe, your old community, your old people just are no longer your people, and it's painful. And when I heard this song, it sounded to me like this love letter of, I want you to know that I'm still here. Like, I'm still me. I'm not going anywhere. So I didn't want to put that. I shouldn't have put that into the listener's mind, but that's what I heard out of it. So, do you want to share with us a bit about the song and then share the song with us?
No, I mean, that's really where, like, emotionally, that's where the song's couched. Because I know, like, that's a great conversation to have for anyone to have. The place where that conversation can often be hardest is among people who are leading those communities, or people who have led those communities, or people who want to lead those communities. For leaders to feel like I committed to this and I'm no longer in it the way I was before, but I'm still present and I want to be present. To communicate that kind of tension of belonging and loss as a leader it's hard, that no one trains you for that. Like, there was no training for it.
Yeah, well said.
So I wanted to do something that set it up for folks to feel it emotionally if you don't know what to do with it technically.
I love it. All right, buddy, why don't you share with us?
Sure. always here. And you know that 'cause you've tasted me. And you know that that's what's best in me. That when it all breaks, I'm still holding on. There's a story to tell about the houses that fell and the walls they left trapped underneath. The city that places with everything shaking, everyone else trying to leave. In some other story about heroes and glory, so great a soul saves the day. But the curse of the faithful is watching the ones they love go away, go away, go away. I'm here. I'm always here. I'm here. I'm always here.
The curse of the faithful is watching the ones you love
Go away.
go away. Bro, that thank you for writing that lyric. That's the one that grabbed me in the middle of that song, and I'm like, wait a minute, stop whatever you're doing, beg Justin to come share that on Tuesday night.
Yeah, my butt.
I can attest to that. Can I share something really quick?
This is my wife Kate. She's going to share something really quick. Kate, this is Justin. Justin, this is Kate.
Hi. Colby texted me from a different part of the house, of course, freaking out, saying, I just got the feels from this song. And everyone just needs to know, if Colby gets the feels from a song, that's a really freaking big deal. He doesn't get feels from anything, let alone a song.
Great. Great. I love that.
She's not wrong.
The lyric is the one that made me want to do this as a collection of songs to begin with, because that's like, okay, that's what that feels like.
Wow. I love it. All right, buddy. Tell us how we can get this song when your new album releases, and how we can find more about you on the interwebs.
Wherever you listen to music, it should be there. And I'm just at justinmcroberts.com. And
Okay.
And I will also say it's a gift for me. I'm a huge fan of Kevin's, and I love what he's doing on the internet. I love his work and what he's doing with his book. I think he's a gift to a whole lot of folks like me. I'm a 46-year-old straight white Christian male. Very thankful for Kevin Garcia and his work. So it's a pleasure for me to be on the show with him and with you guys. So
Sweet.
Thank you.
I will extend that love over onto him, because he's going to come up here in just a minute. So, all right, Justin, you've been great. Thank you so much, buddy.
Take care, man.
All right, bye-bye.
See ya.
Skype end. Back to full screen. I'm telling you, people, I'm trying to figure out how to do all this production stuff. And don't forget to talk to you and engage with the guests. It's fun, but I won't. You can't see my. Well, maybe you can. Doesn't matter. I told you that was going to happen, and it's happening. Let's do. Is there any good questions that have come through?
Oh, no, people haven't been asking questions. People have just been loving,
Okay.
loving, and thinking.
Okay.
And crying, lots of crying.
Lots of crying.
So I don't know if I've seen Colby get feels from Brisket. Now I really know who Spike is.
Okay, he's not wrong. Brisket gets me. Brisket, and then that line from Justin. That's about the only 2 times that I've wept in my life. Okay, let's do another giveaway. How's that sound, babe?
Sounds wonderful.
All right, so we're going to give away another copy of The Shift. And again, this can be for you. I'll personalize it, send it to you. Or if you already have a copy or you want to send it to somebody else, you just let me know who to send it to, and I will get that in the mail. And so let's do it this way. Let's say whoever has shared this video. If you have shared the live feed and it's not too late, you can click share. Somewhere I had a click share graphic. Doesn't matter. Imagine a click share graphic. So whoever has shared this video at any point or will click share right now, you qualify for this giveaway. So go ahead and sound off in the comment section. Just any sort of comment will do as Kate monitors and picks a random winner. All I want to know is, have you shared this video or will you share it right now? Then you qualify for a free copy of The Shift that I will sign and send to you at some point in the next few days here. So I'll give you a minute to do your commenting for anybody who's shared or will click share. And by the way, I'm going to get serious for a minute. Clear that. If you are not clicking share because you're not yet ready to maybe tell your immediate Facebook feed world that you're watching something by a progressive Christian pastor who wrote a book about moving away from conservative Christianity. My point is if you're not sharing this because it's just you're not ready, it's too vulnerable, can I just say that's okay? Like, I don't know that you need me to say that, but please know that I get it, and that so many of us that are watching gets it. This stuff is hard and it's scary, and if you're sort of Nicodemus in the night watching this in some way, or reading my books and not yet ready to have that conversation with your family, or not yet safe to, it makes all the sense in the world. So don't click share. Enter in the next giveaway, I guess. Okay. Oh, Wes, did I just see you enter? I don't know if I can ship to New Zealand, but I'll figure out how to do it if you win. But my wife is over there picking a random winner, and I'm going to let her let me know when we have a winner. Oh, and I'm going to go, while she does that, what's the next thing I'm doing? Yes, Kevin Garcia. All right, so we have...
Okay, all of the winners I've been picking randomly, but this one I'm picking because of the comment.
Okay, so my wife is about ready to pick a winner, and I'm going to move to... Let's see. No, not that. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to find... There's a scene somewhere that has... Maybe I never added it. I was trying to tell you who was coming up. Whatever. You probably don't care. Or you already maybe you already know. Kevin Garcia is coming up. My wife Kate's going to hop back on in a minute. We're going to have music from Ben Grace and Heather Lynn, and then folks from Heathen Podcast are going to join us. So if you're just now tuning in live, my name's Colby, and we are here celebrating... Oh, Kate, your name's on the screen.
It is. I was going to ask you about that. But
no, it's great. My name's Colby, and I'm trying to run a live stream extravaganza. And for the most part, I'd say it's working really well. Follow me at Colby Martin if you want. Okay, who's our winner, babe?
Okay, our winner, I picked this one, but because he commented and said, I've shared, and then in parentheses, while you were still on the hot mic before it started, which I just think is wonderful and lovely. He shared while we were having a personal conversation that we didn't realize we were broadcasting. And I just think it's lovely that he commented and decided to point that out.
That's awesome.
So our winner is, I'm not going to say your last name correctly, Dan
Olivadotti?
I've written it down. There he is.
Olivadotti? Olivia.
Beautiful last name.
I'm sorry, Dan.
I love you, and I love your comment, and you win.
Boom. Dan, you win copy of The Shift, so just message me through Facebook and tell me where to send it and who to send it to. Thanks, Dan. Okay, I'm going to go get Kevin on the line. So this is Kevin Garcia, and then Ben, if you want to hop off, then I'll restart the Skype for you to hop on later. Okay, all right. Before I bring them on screen, I want to tell you that this next person lights up my life. We met a couple years ago, I think at Wild Goose. Does that sound right? And they are just wonderful in so many ways, and I love them, and I'm really glad that they're in my life. So let's welcome to the show Kevin Garcia, everybody. Hi, Kev.
Hello. How are you, beloved?
I'm good. Sorry for stumbling over the pronouns there.
Dude, you're fine. Hey,
right.
See, that is a perfect example of like what it is to like fail in real time and then also correct yourself in real time. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. So like, kudos.
All right. Thank you. You're so kind. Before I forget, I mentioned this earlier. Kevin wrote a book recently called Bad Theology Kills. And people can buy it on the Amazons. Is that right? Oh, you have a real copy in front of you.
A real copy. Yes, you can get it on the internet. You can go to badtheologykills.com and there's all the places all over there.
You are a marvelously gifted writer, and right before he got off, Justin McRoberts, who was on right before you, Justin opened for you, is basically how you want to frame it. He wanted to extend great gratitude to you. He says he's super impacted by your work, and he's really grateful for you. So that's from Justin.
Well, fun fact, I accidentally clicked on the call, and I heard the whole thing, and my heart was so touched. I was like, oh, that's so nice.
That's fun. That's fun. All right, Kev. You know a little bit about this shifty work of
a little bit
leaving, moving.
This?
Look at that, people.
The shift?
The shift. I think I've now trademarked that word.
Have you heard of it?
Yeah, you know a little bit about this.
A little bit. That is the dang truth.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you would be willing to share with our audience, both live and those who will watch this later, because we've been talking about this experience of leaving conservative Christianity, or for some people getting kicked out of, or being shown the door, or some mixture of the two, and finding something that's still within the tradition, heritage of Christianity, but that it's more progressive. It's a word I use, more open, more inclusive, more left, more liberal. I don't know how people want to describe it.
Yeah.
But that journey, that experience for me, I've noticed there's so many commonalities between people. The details are unique to them, but the overarching themes I've found to be very similar. It's part of why I thought a survival guide for that would be helpful.
Yeah.
So would you share with us, as you shifted, in the midst of your shift, what was one of the more challenging aspects for you?
I think one of the more challenging aspects for me was initially, for me, like, it was, the first thing was like, it's okay to be gay, right? And so like, that was like a very like miniature thing. What I didn't realize was at the beginning of my journey was that when you pull on that one string, the whole thing tends to like fray apart. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You pull on that one card in the deck of cards and the whole thing comes down.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what happened to me, is I did not realize how much I also had to start unpacking all of these other questions around, what do you think about what happens after you die? What do you think about relationship structures? What do you think about capitalism? What do you think about, your black friends in the Black Lives Matter movement? It was a whole to-do that really moved me from a place of like, I went from a space of like, I have to be justified by this one thing, to being someone who I don't look for my justification except for both in like the fruit of my actions, and then also realizing that Christ has already, kind of leveled the playing field for me to make me like worthy of being called, even still called a Christian anyways. I didn't make the rules. I think I'm a POS a lot of the time, but hey, like, grace or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But I think it started off with like, I had this need, like, I want to be sure, I want authority, I want someone to tell me what to think. And a lot of times the journey of faith is continuously bumping up against things that you thought you believed, and then God showed you something different. So
how great is that? How great is that for God to show us things that just pull that string? Okay, so you pulled the string. You touched a little too aggressively the card in the House of Cards. Did your worst fears come true? And then, if so, what was that like? Yeah.
Yes and no. So for me, my coming out process, I often say just like there's there was two coming out for me. I was like, one, telling my mom I'm queer. Two, telling my mom that I don't take the Bible literally anymore. And so she gets a little like, about things like that. So
I imagine that might have been just as hard for her, possibly.
Yeah. Yeah, probably, because now it's just like there's all these different things. But I think I'm sorry, my ADD kicked in. Can you tell me the question that you just asked?
No, you're fine. I just wondered if that's totally good. I wondered if your fears about pulling that string or knocking that house of cards, if that actually came to fruition, and if so, what that was like.
Yes, my fears were I'm going to lose so much, because at the time I was a part of an evangelical missions organization. I was getting ready to go be launched back out to the nations and whatnot, and I had all of that pulled out from underneath me. Yeah. I got froze out of my position. I had no money. I had no job. I had no prospects, and I lost people who I thought were my family ended up being people who could no longer, they couldn't talk to me without saying, hey, I'm fearing for your soul. And that gets exhausting for a while, of just people this is a conditional love relationship. It's conditional on the fact that I abide by your rules and by your interpretations of scripture and your understanding of how life works. So I did lose a whole lot of stuff, but I will tell you what, on the other side of that, recognizing how much more I've gained as a result, it's scary out here sometimes in these Dixie Chicks wide open spaces of Christianity and faith. Yeah. But I will say it's more, I've never been closer. The wide open space of sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I don't need to know. Sometimes I really want to know and I cry because I don't know. But I will say, there is a depth of trust that I have now in Spirit and her plans for me than I ever did before. I had my whole world fall apart. It's in some of the Hindu traditions, Kali is this goddess of destruction. She's coming through, and she's not coming through to bust everything up just because she loves destruction, but it's just that's not real. That's not real. That's a false idol. That's a false idol. And so I've been big into yoga recently. So I think of her and I'm just that is constantly what God is doing. Yeah. Just coming through and saying, you think I look like that? Bah! Yeah. You think I look you think that you need this specific doctrine? Anytime you try to put a doctrine on me, how many times do I bust out of them? Saith the Lord.
Saith the Lord. Do you... So there's a question for you. Are you finding yourself sort of inadvertently creating boxes without even being aware of it? So then the boxes keep getting sort of blown apart and you're like, oh, I did it again. I didn't even mean to. Is that kind of what you're describing a little bit, or?
Mm-hmm. And that's that's the work though. That's the constant work of faith now, is to become aware of the boxes that we put God into, right? Yeah. And not only God, but the boxes we put ourselves into, the ways we limit ourselves. And so for me, another idea from yoga is the idea of karma. And karma is not you did something bad, so something bad's going to happen to you. Your karma is the lesson that's going to keep revisiting you over and over and over again until you get it right, or until you learn the lesson. And that to me is God. Endless chances of just returning to the same thing. And if you keep messing up the same thing, it's well, of course you're going to do that. But God is there saying, hey, do you want to try again? Yeah. And that to me is oh my God.
Endless second chances. I love it.
Endless. Third, fourth, fifth, God's just we'll bring it to, and I think that's where so many of us, God, throughout our life has been hinting at us, hey, you know that I'm not over here. I'm not here, right? Or that I'm also over here. And so
yes, right.
Then we finally come down to it. It's just we realize we get mad that we were worshiping an idol the whole time. And then, it's no wonder we're searching for God in all of this. It's, we've never been talking to God in the first place for a lot of us.
Yeah. Kevin, I'm just reading some of the comments here. Adrian was really grateful that you just naturally pronounced spirit as she. So thank you for bringing that into the space. And then Amanda was really grateful to you for talking about your coming out story. Hearing from another LGBTQ Christian tonight has her heart singing. RN.
Yeah.
Heart singing for the resident nurses.
No, right now. That's internet.
Shoot. I'm an old millennial. I don't know these things.
And I think the term is elder millennial, dear.
Oh, okay. That's horrible. But thank you, I think.
I'm sorry. You're not an elder, but let me tell you what though, just like you're doing great. You're doing great for an elder millennial.
No, thank you. I saw that wink. Kevin, before I let you go, thank you for carving out some time. I know you're on a whole different time zone than I am, so it's late where you're at. Thank you for
all good.
Making time for this.
Time isn't real during coronation. We all know that.
That feels real. That feels real.
You holding up okay? You doing okay?
Yeah, doing okay. I mean, it's some days, some moments are better than others.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I love my family. I like my family, so
that's a pleasure.
That is a pleasure. But yeah, we're doing all right.
Good. I just want to tell you, from me to you, I am so pleased about this book. Like, as I've been getting through it in these days, like, I'm like, oh my God, this is the book that I send to my family. This is the book that, like, because for a lot, I will say this, for a lot of queer people, we need resources that are not as far removed as like explicitly queer affirming resources might be. But I know that your first book was something that I sent to so many people. I know this book is something I'm going to continue to send to other people because it is such a resource for people who are closer to the inside. So I am thankful that you are someone who gets my pronouns right and you use your privilege in great ways. So kudos, my dear. I'm really proud of you. Congratulations on your new book. You deserve every bit of happiness.
Thanks, Kev. You are wonderful. Everybody go pick up a copy of Bad Theology Kills and follow Kevin on what's your social meds?
My social meds. You can find me across social media at the Kevin Garcia and at thekevingarcia.com. And if you think I'm funny, you can follow me on my new TikTok channel. I'm just kidding. I don't have a TikTok. I don't have a TikTok. I'm not a youth.
Oh, this quarantine's really getting to you. It's really getting to you.
Oh, listen, she's not that desperate yet, please.
All right. I don't know how I feel about this, but Mike Christman affirms yes, elder millennial. So I don't know if Mike was affirming... But it's whatever.
Listen, he's absolutely affirming. You need to own that elder millennial status because it's just like you don't understand something just like elder millennial, and the people are like, oh yeah, okay.
You remember when we were in New York 2 years ago at that what was that called? It was some like young leader seminar thing.
Millennial Leaders Project.
It was actually Millennial Leadership Project, and I was the oldest one in the room. But y'all put up with me. It was wonderful. All right, Kev,
listen,
I love you.
You were the joy of you were the belle of the ball.
I don't know that that's true, but I like that you say it. So
listen, have you seen your face recently? Listen, if you wasn't so committed to your wife, I would snatch you up in a heartbeat. You know what I'm saying? Listen, I need to get off the line before I get in trouble with y'all.
All right, buddy. Love you, Kev. Bye.
Good night, everyone.
And that is my friend Kevin Garcia. So good. Okay. Wasn't that wonderful? So please go follow Kevin, grab his stuff. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to ask my wife to get a few questions in store while I'm changing the battery on this camera. So I'm going to switch over. You have to put up with this FaceTime camera, which is just glorious behind the scenes. And I'm going to switch the camera on that while Kate figures out some questions. Okay?
Love it.
All right, I'm going to go off screen. Goodbye.
Oh, I could just do a takeover. I can do a takeover right now.
A live stream takeover.
Kate, takeover! Ask me your questions. Isn't Kevin amazing? They just delight my soul. I love it when people like Kevin are like, if Colby wasn't so committed to his wife, I'd take him. It's just amazing. Send me your questions. And by send me, I mean just comment. I'm moderating it all. I got you. Send me your questions. We really, really want to interact with you. So Send anything at all. There's nothing off limits.
We may not answer it, but...
Nothing off limits. Send those. Okay, this is fun. You set up a good... I'm just comfy here. You set up a good system here. I like this.
It's even better when you... Oh, no, it's even better when you get to the good camera. Although now you're a little out of focus.
I liked the other one.
Did you?
Personally. I mean, I liked how I looked better on the other one.
Oh, well... Lean forward, because this is the focus spot right here. Cool, so the battery's changed?
What, you want your screen back?
Nope, you're totally fine. I'll just stand here and wait patiently. Okay. So, Tracy wants to know, why are you so awesome? I assume you mean me, not the lady that was just up here. I'm kidding. You're sure you're talking to Kate. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to pause. I don't know if Spike Z is still watching, but Spike Z, this next segment,
He's texting with me furiously, so I'm sure he's watching.
Okay, this next segment is brought to you by my friend Spike Z, who last time Spike was here, bought us a bottle of Don Julio 1942, and that was like 9 months ago, and I have a little bit left, and I was saving it for this evening for the launch of The Shift. So this segment is brought to all of us, mostly me, because you won't get to enjoy this, by Don Julio 1942, courtesy of Spike Z. Okay, do we have a question?
Yes, oh sorry.
No, it's all right.
Okay, one question that Katie Roll was dying to ask you, and I love, is she just wants to know, what is your favorite chapter of your own book and why?
Oh, thank you for that
Which
question.
I love that.
Okay, I'm going to give you two. So the question was, what's my favorite chapter of the book? I'm going to give you two, if that's okay. So the first one is actually the very first chapter that I wrote for this book in the proposal process. And that is chapter 8. Chapter 8, Waging the War Within. Part of why I love this chapter so much is because it ticks several boxes of things that I'm really passionate about. Waging the War Within is a chapter about what do you do when your old self, the self that's worked so hard to get you where you are, with particular beliefs and relationships and ways of being in the world, that old self has fought really hard, and it makes a lot of sense in many ways that you were the person you were. What happens when you start to shift, you start to change, you start to emerge, grow, transform, and the old self starts fighting against you. And suddenly there's a battle waged inside of you between this new emerging, shifting self and this old self that's worked hard to get you there. And in the chapter, I talk about the story of Jacob wrestling a late night visitor, which most translators or teachers will say that Jacob wrestled God, or that Jacob wrestled an angel. And I go a different way with it. I'm going to give you a bit of a spoiler, but whatever. For me, that story is all about the wrestling of yourself, of your old self. And for me, that story is about Jacob trying to emerge and become a new person, and he's now fighting against this old person that he's always been. And in that chapter, I talk about my experience in therapy and my resistance to change, my resistance to therapy out of fear. And so I love that chapter a lot. I'm really excited for people to read it. And then the other one, actually, I don't know, it's hard to pick. But the other one, I'll say this. My other favorite one, oh God, it is really hard to pick. I really liked what came out of the Jesus chapter. So in the book, I use 4 chapters that talk about some of the largest theological obstacles or most common obstacles that people face in the shift. What to do when the idea of God no longer makes sense. What to do when Jesus, that belief just sort of disappears or gets shifted. What to do about the Bible, those dusty old books, and then the church. And I think the chapter on Jesus came together really well. Because I hope what it does for people is it begins to invite us, give us permission to relax a bit, that maybe believing the exact right thing about Jesus is not and never was the point. And that can be really threatening for someone who has their whole life been told that what you believe about Jesus is everything. It is the thing. But it strikes me when you listen to some of the teachings of Jesus and when you read about his life in the gospel accounts, Jesus didn't really seem to care that people believed in him, that they had the right ideas. He cared that people believed him, which is to say believed that the way of mercy was better than the way of revenge, that the way of love is better than the way of hate, the way of forgiveness is better. So I really love the Jesus chapter. But then if I had to pick a third one, which you didn't ask for, I would say chapter 11 is probably the one I've gotten the most feedback on so far. The people are like, whoa, chapter 11, wasn't ready for that one, loved it, worth the price of the book. Chapter 11 is called When Progressives Attack, and it's about the experience of when you have gone through your shift and you're in new progressive spaces and you start taking friendly progressive fire for the first time. That can be a jarring experience, and I think that chapter handles that well. Okay, great question. Another one?
Okay, our dearest friend Sarah, and I just want you to spitball this out, just asked you what your favorite food is, and I just think it's funny, so just go with it.
Favorite food is, I would say anything in the barbecue, so brisket, pulled pork.
Yes.
I could do that all day.
Okay, a lot of people are wondering, I mean, so many questions on this, I can't even keep track of them all. So many people are wondering, family, friends.
Yeah.
How do you, and I know you write about this in the book, but people are just over and over again, they're expressing it in different ways of putting the question, but the question is just over and over again. Do you have anything to say to how do I breach the conversation with family and friends of, look, I don't buy into that anymore. I don't believe the same things as you anymore. Do you have just a quick thing?
Yeah, quick thing. So Kate's right, a whole chapter is designated to that. Chapter 10 is called Shaking the Dust from Old Relationships, and it amounts to a permission slip. I try to give the reader a permission slip to create boundaries if needed, and new sorts of dynamics and relationships with family and old friends. I think a lot of people in conservative Christianity or religious fundamentalism are given the message that your obligation is to be a bridge builder, that you always have to be trying to restore the relationship and reconcile. And so we end up shifting and moving away, and we are often rejected from that. And we feel like the right thing to do, or maybe some people would say the Jesus-y thing to do, the Christian, the godly thing to do is to try and to reconcile and to keep those relationships. But Jesus tells his disciples that if anybody doesn't welcome you, if anybody rejects you, you can accept their rejection. Well, shake the dust off your feet and move on, which is not an easy thing to like. What, so you're saying if my family, doesn't welcome my new beliefs, that I just leave them behind? Look, I know it's not easy. What I'm saying is that is a path that I feel is open to you. If what you're looking for is something that is kind of Jesus approved, or if it matters to you that it comes out of the Bible, that there is a way that you can put up new boundaries and say, you know what, at least for the time being, I'm going to accept your rejection of me. And the other thing I would say is that family is oftentimes the last territory to conquer. So if you're trying to figure out how to have these conversations with these new things you've been having or questions, you might just want to experiment and practice those with friends and other people. And family is just the hardest because there's so many layers there. So you can feel free to push pause on that one until you've had some other conversations. Okay. Got one more quick and easy one?
Can I hand them to you? So quite a few people are asking about our relationship and our shifting together and apart, and who did what first, and did we shift differently, and da-da-da-da. So I was just going to say we could tell them that I'll be on later. Maybe we could address that when I'm on.
Perfect. So Kate's going to come up here in a little bit. For now, Ben Grace, if you are listening, you can now hop onto the Skype. Oh, I see you comment. All right. So I would like people now to give a warm welcome to a dear friend of mine who I've invited to come on and share some more music. So let's welcome to the program Ben Grace, everybody. Hi, Ben.
Hello. How you doing?
I'm gonna hit this button.
Oh, and also people want to know.
It's the applause button.
People want to know if your beard is real or a prosthetic.
Oh, yes, my beard is real. It's my quarantine beard. I stopped.
Your brother asked.
I stopped shaving once we had to be on lockdown, and then about 4 weeks later, here we are. But I water it twice a day. So, hi, Ben.
Hi.
It's really good to see you, bud.
More comments. Your beard is on point.
Such a long time.
I know. So for those who are just tuning in, my name's Colby. We're doing a live stream for The Shift. This is my friend Ben Grace, and we have been our family and his family has been sort of in quarantine together, and so Kate and I will go to their place. If you've seen our church live stream, you recognize behind him is the pink fireplace that holds all of our live stream endeavors. So, Ben, you have a song for us.
I do.
Can you just briefly tell us a bit about this song? Where were you at in your life when you wrote it? What motivated you to write it?
I actually don't remember how long ago this was. I think it was maybe 5-6 years ago I wrote this song. And it was the first song I'd ever kind of written around my upbringing, which I was brought up in a super conservative fundamentalist place. And it was about trying to write what's the biggest story? What's the next step? How do I kind of articulate that? And I think these often are, you get the luxury of a whole book. I have, maybe 72 words and 3 minutes to try and do that. So, this was a song I wrote called A Little Story.
Called A Little Story. All right, I'm going to put you full screen and have you take it away. Thanks, Ben.
Told a little story about your love, with children's books about old Noah's Ark and the flood. Told a little story about the world that you created. In only 7 days we took it literally. We told a little story. We sang our little songs, belittled all your glory, saying that our tribe's the only one. Told a little story about your grace that we neglected to include the entire human race. Told a little story about your plan to save the chosen ones and sold the sheep out from the goats and right from wrong. We wove a little fable, we told a little lie, we told our little children that their little sins condemn them all to die. Little did we know, little did we care, little did we grow, littler every year. But I sense a bigger story, bigger story than before. Every daughter, every son, and every human one of yours see the bigger glory. Gentler, humbler, kinder love that's willing to stand with the hurt and broken, every one of us. Tell a bigger story, sing a bigger song. You see that God's not bigoted, not concerned in right or wrong. And yes, this love is bigger than, deeper, wider, higher than, so big that all the universe belongs, so big that all the universe belongs.
So big that all the universe belongs. Ben, thanks for sharing that, man. That's beautiful. You're incredibly talented. As you were singing that, as you were contrasting the telling of the little story to the telling of the big story, for me, what was coming up was this: so much of it is a choice. Like, we really can choose. A metaphor I use is to just turn the binoculars around. So if you look out binoculars with the big specks, then you're seeing something small and tiny. you have the same tools. So a lot of Christian communities, we have the tools to just turn it around. The tools such as God is love. Like, it's right there. Like, we have these breadcrumbs that really are massive loaves of truth. They're not just breadcrumbs. But it's all, my point is it's all there. If we just want to tell a bigger story, we can. We totally can.
Yep. And I think this myopic focus on me and mine, and that's where we kind of get ourselves in trouble. And I think when we realize it's the we, the universal we, we're all connected, we're all one already, we can actually kind of have an expansive idea.
Yeah, I love it. I hope you go back and watch the comments, because people are really happy that you shared that song just as much as I am. If they want to find out more about your music, get that song or some others, Ben, how would they do that?
Yeah, I'm at Ben Grace Music everywhere online, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and that is the last song going on my full-length record that I hope to be out sometime this year. Pandemic, not willing. I
was going to say, you have a lot of time now, but you really don't. I think you've been more busy during this than I've known you outside of coronavirus. So, but Ben, I love you. I love your work. I love your music. I love what you represent in this space, and I'm glad you came on tonight. Thanks for making time, buddy.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for having me on.
You
Congratulations.
Bet. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye. So that was Ben Grace sharing about a little story, contrast to telling a big story, one that includes the whole universe. Okay, I'm going to show you a quick video with one more excerpt from the book, The Shift, which I don't know if you know this, but today my book, The Shift, came out. This is the launch day. This is why I'm doing this live stream extravaganza. And I love that you are on. It's like we're at 8 o'clock now, and we have, like, most of you are still here. So thank you. I do have a few more guests coming up, live music with Heather Lynn, my wife and co-pastor and co-partner. Kate's going to hop on for a bit. Got the folks from Heathen Podcast sharing. But for now, would you watch this video that comes from the chapter I wrote on the topic of church. Over the years, I've learned to recognize the signs of those who've experienced suffering at the hands of church and religion. New people show up to our church every Sunday, desperate for a safe place to be seen and loved. And taking a sizable risk, they walk through the doors, daring to hope for a different kind of faith community. They bob and weave through the various volunteers, extending hospitality through hugs and handshakes, making eye contact only long enough so as to not appear rude. Exhaustion leaks from each timid step as they eventually perch on the edge of a seat near the exit just in case. There they sit, surrounded by people laughing, hugging, crying, or otherwise honestly reflecting whatever state they're in, because at our church, Sojourn Grace Collective, we aim to shed all pretense. But they can't yet participate in such authenticity. Of course not. After all they've been through, how could they? It will take a while before they believe that they are human like everyone else, and that such a state is, quote, supremely good, as Genesis 1:31 says. After all, they've spent years in a codependent relationship with God, anxiously trying to manage God's feelings. They've never fully felt loved because in the back of their mind, they're haunted by the echoes of preachers gone by, shouting, "God cannot stand the sight of you because of your sin." So when Kate or I stand up and insist, "You are a loved child of God, full stop," they cock their head to the side like a curious dog, brow furrowed, drenched in skepticism. I've seen it 100 times, and it makes so much sense. And yet, they're here every week. New faces suspiciously eager. Or is it optimistically uncertain? If this paradoxical state describes you, you are entirely normal. We are relational beings, so you're not weak, and it's no moral failure to want to find a church again, even though your rational mind can name all the reasons why it's a bad idea. On the one hand, you swear you're over the whole church thing because fool me twice, shame on me. On the other hand, you struggle to ignore this yearning deep inside that not only intuits there's more to life than atoms and molecules and pizza and paychecks, but you want to explore this unseen depth alongside others within the electricity of community, where you can see and be seen, know and be known. It seems that about once a week, I receive an email from someone in some part of the country that begins with, quote, "I can't stand church," and then ends with, "Do you know one in my city that I could try?" I can't stand church. Where can I find one?
I can't stand church either, yet I pastor one. So there you go.
All right, friends. This is... I'm going to put this over by you. Kate Christensen Martin. So the closer you are to the table, the closer you are, where you're in focus. There you are. Let the people see you, my love. Hi.
Hi, baby.
So this is Kate.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I know you want to take this somewhere else, but I'm so freaking proud of you. I'm freaking out over here, people. I'm so proud of this man. I've been over here in the corner just bawling my head off and screaming and silent screaming because I can't interrupt the feed. Although you've heard me interrupt a few times. I know. That's me. Welcome. But I'm so freaking proud of you.
Thanks, love.
I know what you've poured into this book, but also just this life. Yeah. I just feel like going out into the world and telling everyone, no, I swear, I promise he's the real thing. Because I feel like people see you out in the world and see your work and they're like, no way. No way this straight white dude is like, for real. No way he's legit. And I just feel like being like, I live with him, I promise. I promise he's for real. I've been a mess.
No, like, this is great. I don't think I'm needed for that. I think you're doing...
No, totally. Like, go away.
Yes,
I got this. Okay. First of all, like, Brian, Glennon, and Kristen, all three of those humans, God, I just love them so much. And each of them, they, everyone who's been on tonight are our heroes. That's what blows my mind. Each and every person who's been on tonight, they're our no, come back. I'm just teasing. But each of them are our heroes and people that we followed before our own shift. And then, God, I can't talk without crying. And then, like, as we shifted from their work, became friends with them. Like, what? I was just sitting here, like, God, I want to, like, when Kristen was on, I was this close to running over to the screen and going, Kristen, I love you, like, hugging her. I mean, each of them, and you heard me actually interrupt the Brian one, because, God, that man is our father and grandfather and godfather and whatever you want to call him. He's everything. Yeah. Freaking Mama Glennon. Anyway. And Kevin. I mean, you already heard me geek about that. Anyway, sorry. Enough about that. I'm just so freaking proud of you. What do you want to talk about? People have been asking about our relationship.
Yeah, you've been seeing the comments, the questions more.
Yeah. People have been asking about our shifting, and I think oftentimes when you're in relationship and you've been in one place together, and then I've got total cry face. This is terrible.
It's not terrible.
I looked really good before this.
You still look amazing.
And then cry. Oftentimes, you know, you're in a relationship with one another and you're in one place, and then, so we got married really, really young, and we got married in and on the foundation of really conservative, fundamentalist evangelicalism. And so, you know, we went into our vows and our honeymoon with, like, man is the head of the household shit, you know? Sorry, we've avoided all cussing on this live stream until Kate comes on.
Suddenly Facebook just kills the feed.
This happens when I come on. And yeah, so there's been all kinds of, people are wondering, you know, how that works when like one person shifts and the other hasn't and whatever. And for our relationship, it's been like, so we went on our honeymoon, and immediately on our honeymoon, I thought, oh, I won't cuss again. Oh, crapola. I'm in trouble because I realized that patriarchy and marriage doesn't work for me. Cryface is holy. I agree, Melissa. I love you. Whoever you are, you're my friend. Immediately, I was like, I can't do this. I can't do patriarchy and marriage. I did patriarchy as daughter, as friend, as sister. Growing up as a good Christian girl, I could do patriarchy. I hated it, but I could fake it. And then in marriage, for whatever reason, there was this shift. I can't do it. I can't do it in marriage. So that was the first shift, was my like, I can't do patriarchy in marriage. And that was our first like unequally yoked. Like unequally yoked is real, right? It's real. It's just like, it's fine, but it's real. And so we were totally unequal there and had all kinds of turmoil in our relationship there over all the things, right? From laundry to sex to all the things. And then you started reading Brian McLaren, and you were like, what is life? What is Christianity? And you started unraveling the whole thing. Yeah. And then what's funny, and this is what I wanted to share with you, what's funny is that I went full on like feminist, ragey, like, no, oh hell no, we won't do patriarchy in our marriage first. And then you went, Brian McLaren, like, let's question the other theological stuff. And what's funny is you would think we would just very naturally come together in that and have a peaceful, we're in this together thing. But that's not the story, is it? Like, we didn't just go, oh, we're both questioning this. Let's just question it together. You would think. Yeah. Cool, we're both questioning it. Let's just do this together. But it's not how it went down. Instead, you had your questions you were more comfortable with that rocked me. I mean, I remember sitting on a bench with you outside our house and being like, if you don't go in there and get right with God now, like, I was like, you have to know your salvation. I was really worried about the whole knowing that Jesus is your savior, going to heaven crap. And you were totally not cool with all the feminist shit. And so we collided in the areas that we were shifting. So we were both shifting, but in such different areas that it was a mess. And, but I think it was a beautiful mess, don't you? Like, sure, for probably 12 years, you want to say? 10, 12 years, we were a hot mess. Just not getting each other's languages.
There's some lukewarm messes in there. It wasn't all hot. No? Okay. Well, I'm just, my only point is we were both, if we're sticking with the sort of idea of the shifting from conservative to progressive, we were both moving in a leftward direction.
Yes, it's just we got freaked out by each other's versions of that. Every time I went any sort of feminism, you got so freaked out, which I feel like is totally fair to share, because anytime you went questioning salvation, I got freaked out. So we both triggered each other, and then it was just, I'd be like, what? And then you'd be like, what? And then eventually, I don't know, how many years ago do you think we finally got kind of a comfortable group? I mean, we still aren't.
Well, we shouldn't tell our church if it was before or after we started the church.
No, we should, because truly, actually, I think one of the best parts of our story is that we actually founded a church in our living room as co-pastors, just the two of us pastoring this thing, in not great places with each other, and not in I don't know, there was no cohesion there. We didn't agree on a lot of theological issues. And then as we've pastored, we've come together on some things, and we've gone further apart on some things that we used to disagree with, eventually came together on, and then vice versa. Like, just all over the place, which is just exactly what he talks about in his book about faith being this opening and this moving to the light. I mean, we're just constantly, both of us, moving, and we find each other like, oh, I'm on the couch, like, to use the cat metaphor, like, I'm over on the couch on this edge finding the light, and he's over on the That was amazing. You couldn't see that, but that was amazing.
We have a lot of things set up here. It looks really nice and pretty behind, but this is
There's
lot.
There's a lot going on.
Go on. You're the cat.
Yeah, like, I'm on the couch and you're on the windowsill, and we're both catching different. That's the other thing about your metaphor. It's like, not only is each individual moving along, but then together in community, we're finding it in different places. So you're on the windowsill and I'm on the couch, and we're both like, light! And you're like, no, I found light over here. And I'm like, no, I swear it's over here. And we're both like beckoning to each other, like, come find the light over here. And you're like, no, come find the light over here. And if we could both just look at each other and go, actually, the light's in both places, like, perfectly.
That was a scary thing.
Right?
That was a scary thing.
And not just one time scary thing, like so many different scary times. Anyway.
To answer your question, Kate Hickman, how long have we been married?
17?
This will be 17, right?
17, yeah, almost.
We were married in 2003, so this will be 17. Okay.
Sorry.
What are you sorry for?
Because I just made that
this
all
is
about
what the
what
people
I
want. Kate, you get an applause. You can't hear it. Well, you can hear it, but I took care of that. But there's applause happening right now. Okay, so thank you for hopping on. Thank you for helping. Thanks for being my right-hand woman tonight, monitoring the comments and the questions and the giveaway. Should we do one more giveaway before we get our next guest on? Our next guest, by the way, I'm going to get them loaded up in the Skypes.
Oh, we look 25. That's fun.
Who said that? We're putting the comment up there. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, Mike. I think he called me an elder millennial earlier, but he just redeemed himself.
Yeah, because now we look 25.
So thanks, Mike.
I won't move in closer to see all my wrinkles.
Okay, so I'm going to bring in our folks from Heathen, and while they are in the waiting room, we are going to do one more giveaway, if I can find the graphic, because the graphic's important. Graphic and sound. Okay, so here's how we're going to do this, which I think might be our final giveaway, just because we're getting to the end of our program. But we are going to let everybody play, just like we did in the very first round, and anybody who would like a book. Actually, we're going to give away 3 books right now, people. Woo! We're giving away 3 books right now, people. We need that sound again. Okay, so Kate, this is how it works. You just start commenting. Comment, because we don't know you're here unless you comment, and you probably got taken up by other comments. So if you want a free copy of the book, again, I will sign it. If you want it, I'll sign it, send it to you. If you want it to be sent to a friend or family member, just tell me who that is and I'll send it to them. But I'm going to give away 3 more copies of this. So just put some comment into the thread. Doesn't matter what you say, just any sort of comment. Could be emojis, could be whatever. You could just be a letter. It could be the letter P. You can pick the letter and we'll give away another copy of that. I am going to make sure my Heathen Podcast friends are they're in the waiting room. I can see you, my Heathen friends, but don't worry, you're not live yet. We are wrapping up this final round of the giveaways as people are commenting. You got 10 seconds left to enter. Free books for everyone, Benjamin Cornelius said. That's an option. I don't know who's gonna. Hey, you all got your stimulus checks. Let's all do free books for everybody via you. Hashtag book socialism. I don't really know how that works. Okay. 5 seconds left. Kate, are you ready to announce some winners?
I have 3 of them picked. I need 1 more.
And then I will say to my Heathen friends, on my screen, your video's frozen. I don't know if you're good on your end.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, I have all... How many winners did you say you wanted?
3. We're giving away 3 books.
Just 3? I want 4.
Kate wants 4. And Kate gets what Kate wants. So we're giving away 4 copies. Okay. So listen up. If I say your name, then you need to message me through Facebook to say, hey, I won.
All right.
All right. First winner is
Ross Montgomery.
Ross Montgomery. You get a book. Next.
Ross has been with us commenting a lot all night.
That's true. Thank you, Ross. I was going to maybe do that. If you've been with us all night long, you qualify, but I let everybody.
Told me that, so I wanted to.
Oh.
Oh my God! Look at Matthew.
Okay, trying to get the focus right. Okay, who's next? Next free book goes to.
Okay, next free book. This person already has your book, but I know they will give it away to someone.
Give it away.
Give it away. That's why I am picking them. Amanda Swinkles.
Amanda Swinkles,
I hope
you
I'm
get a
saying
book.
that name.
So thank you, Amanda. And I'll send it to wherever you want. You just message me, name and address.
Third
book.
Adrian Buffington.
Adrian Buffington, you get a book. And one more.
Last but very not least, this person has been desperate for a giveaway.
Oh.
Katie Roll.
Katie Roll, you get a book. So that's the end of our giveaways until I decide otherwise, which I'll probably decide otherwise because I have more books to give away. Now, next up on the show, I don't know if you all have heard of these things called podcasts. So podcasts are these really cool audio programs that come through devices like phones and computers and watches. And there's all sorts of great podcasts out there. But one of the best podcasts that you've probably not heard of until right now is called Heathen Podcast. And now I'm going to change your life because Heathen Podcast is all about these the spaces that I'm trying to help people navigate through. Heathen Podcast is like, oh yeah, we have conversations like that all the time. So not only do I love their podcast, but I love the people who host it. They are dear friends of mine. And so I'm now going to invite you to welcome to the show Heathen Podcast, everybody.
Oh, hi. Oh, hi.
Hi.
Hi, Colby.
You're here. You're here.
We just broke up already. We're just casually reading.
Yeah. What is you're just reading? Oh, well, don't let me interrupt. To quote Jon Stewart, go on. Hi, friends. Okay,
hi.
So you want to introduce yourself? Because I just call you Heathen Podcast.
That's how we go by. Yep.
Yeah, we don't have individual names.
First
one's
name Heathen, last name
one's podcast. Okay, wonderful. Awesome. Well, thank you for being here tonight. You look fab.
Thank you. A girl doesn't get much of an opportunity to dress up during COVID-19, so
here she is. And then I had to sit next to her, so I tried to match your book.
With your eyes!
Look at that color
wow.
scheme.
That's amazing. That's amazing. When we do a giveaway later for the most matchy eye makeup, you're in the top 3 for sure.
That's all I really want in the world.
Okay, so all night long we have been talking about the themes of this book. That if you're just joining us, it's pretty late, but welcome. This is a live stream extravaganza book release for my book, The Shift, which is about shifting away from conservative Christianity and towards something more progressive and Christian. I don't know, like those are terms that people all define a little bit differently. I defined it in the opening of the book, but and so we've been talking about this journey, this experience, what that's been like. And this is a space that I know the two of you have not only ventured yourselves in your own journeys, but through your podcast, you have people on all the time to talk about this journey. And so I thought, okay, if we're going to talk about the shift, I got to get Heathen on, and I need them to just share with us what are some of the things that you hear most? What are some of the things that come up? So the two things are challenges, like the challenges that people experience when going through the shift. And then the second one is the sort of liberating good parts of it. But let's start with the first one. Share with me, what are some of the common things that come up from people that you talk with as far as what the challenges when they go through their shift?
Well, first of all, can I just say thank you for having Heathen on.
Yes.
Your shift toward progressive Christianity. I feel like the spectrum... did we freeze? Are we frozen?
You did.
Oh, but you can hear me?
Sad.
I can hear you.
Keep talking in hopes that it'll unfreeze. I feel like the spectrum, it goes, it doesn't end at progressive Christianity. I think it keeps going. And at some point along the way, you find Heathen. So that's where you find us. So thanks for including the full spectrum.
I like that.
Colby, in your shift book release party. Karen, so the question we're answering, we're still frozen, aren't we?
Yeah. Let's see if we can get you back before you answer that question.
Should we do a quick exit and come back?
While you do the quick exit, I will just reiterate. Yeah, go ahead.
Can we give away 2 more books, Val?
Kate just wants to give away more and more books.
I'm sorry. I have 2 people I really want to give books to. Is that possible? Oh, but we're doing a call.
So, sorry, people. I'm trying to. I'm going to start, and you guys join. But what I loved about what they said is that Heathen sort of their podcast exists on even the outside fringe of progressive Christianity, which I really love. So, okay, I think you are back, In 3, 2, 1.
Can we move? We
Hi.
can move.
Okay. Hopefully you won't freeze again.
I'm taking up all the frame now.
There you
Okay,
go.
there we go.
That's better. It's real cozy over here.
I think Mark Zuckerberg got real threatened when you talked about going beyond the edges of progressive Christianity.
That's really fair.
He's like, Russia, cool. Heathens,
Forget it. Forget it.
Okay, so to the question.
Back to the struggle. Yeah, I think for me, and in most of the people that we've talked to, which also echoed my own experience, fear is the most common emotion that I think we encounter. Just this fear of not just rejection from friends and family, but really fear of, if I don't have this thing that is this defining part of my identity, what do I have? And when you're raised to believe again and again that, like, this is where community is found, this is where wholeness is found, this is where salvation and love and all of the good things in the world live in this place, what's on the other side of that? If you lose those pieces, what do you have? So,
and part of the upbringing, I think, for so many of us who did come up in the very fundamentalist conservative world is that there isn't a world beyond that, and we're taught from a pretty young age that anything beyond that is the slippery slope, to really scary places. So the fear is real, and then it's even more real because we don't know where we go. If we leave any of it behind, we don't know what's out there at all.
Do you think
it feels like a big loss?
Do you think that when people talk about slippery slope, that they might have had in their mind that maybe drag would be somewhere at the bottom of the slippery slope?
Do you know? I don't think drag even registered.
That's true, huh? That's true, huh?
That was not
never
even a thing
in a million years
that we were aware of in the church I grew up in. So this is, you guys, fair warning. This is the end of the slippery slope right here.
She's what you find at the bottom of the slippery slope now.
And it's okay, and it's okay, and it's good. I guess is actually, like, right. It's
better
like
than okay. Yeah.
It's not that it's not real. The slippery slope is real. We've several people tonight have talked about pulling the first thread, or knocking the first domino, or touching the first house of cards. As you said, the fear, it's well founded. People aren't irrational for being afraid to pull, push, ask questions. So the slippery slope is real, but it's not life-threatening. If anything, it's life-giving, I would say.
Yes. Did you tell me your name?
Oh, no. We actually didn't introduce ourselves. So this is Karen.
Hi.
Hi, Karen.
And I'm Matthew. But tonight and on other nights, I go by Miss Flamey Grant. So
Flamey Grant.
I mean, that's my little tip of the hat to my upbringing as well. So
I love it. Talk to me a bit about what have you heard from people when you've heard their short stories about the shift. What have they shared with you that has been liberating? What are some of the signs of new life once they've either gotten to the bottom of the slope or they've taken the whole Jenga tower down? What are some common things that come up for people when they share about the good parts?
I think for me, the thing that stands out that we hear over and over again is just people falling in love with the beauty of all of these things that they weren't, quote unquote, allowed to engage with before, and finding the divine and finding something holy and finding parts of themselves in all of these places that used to be the scary bottom of the slippery slope. I think we listen with openness now instead of, I think I went through my whole life low-key condescending, like, I'll listen to you, but really,
low-key condescended, yeah.
Like, I respect your opinion, but mine's right, And there is such joy in people discovering, being able to listen to other ideas and connect with them, and just discovering what really works for them spiritually and what moves them in this wide open Dixie Chicks way.
What about you, Flamey? What have you heard from people?
Boy, I mean, a lot of just echoing what Karen said, but to the point of, it's the discoveries you make along the way about who you, as a human being walking around in the world, are, like how you can interact with other people in ways that you just never expected. I mean, drag is obviously a phenomenal, physical, very visceral, real example of that. I can, recall times as a kid when I was very interested in mom's skirts, mom's high heels, and mom's makeup, and it was all shut down so quickly at such a young age because that was just absolute no. So being able to, come on the internet now and talk to my friends about this beautiful journey looking the way I do right now, it is such a liberating and wonderful process. I love the thing about Heathen is that we talk to a different person every week, and we do talk to people across the spectrum. Yeah. Maybe not the full spectrum. Definitely people who have
across many spectrums, many different types of spectrums,
and who have at least begun the shift. Because frankly, it's hard to get people to come on a podcast called Heathen unless they have shifted in some way. So every time we talk to somebody new, we discover something fantastic and beautiful. For me, I'm just loving right now. I'm at a point in my journey where I almost crave a little bit of belief again. I'm almost looking for places to put my faith, and when I get to talk to somebody who's passionate about something, whether that is like mysticism, whether that is physical practices like yoga, whether it's we've done things like past life regressions and descending into the depths of our minds to discover our power animal shamanic practices, all sorts of things. It's just fascinating to feel how very real all the beliefs are for the people that we're talking to. And in that moment, it's like, I believe this with you. That's what I want to say to people. Like right now in this conversation with you, because we are connected, I believe this thing with you. And it feels really great to be able to practice belief that doesn't have to feel so permanent. Like I know that the next person I talk to, I'm going to believe something different because they're going to have a whole different experience than me, and it's going to open my eyes to something new. So
Blair says, thank you for being yourself, Matthew.
Thank you, Blair.
Isn't that great? Okay, you guys have been so gracious with your time, especially because it's a little later than I told you you'd be on. But I do have, I think, 2 minutes left for the time that 10 minutes that I said I would take of yours. Can you, thank you for sharing all of that and sharing yourselves. I'm wondering if you can say a word now to anybody who's watching now or later who is in the midst of the shift, or who might just log this into their brain later because the shift might be coming for them. What's something you would say to someone who's in that process?
Just, baby, you're not alone. Yeah. You are so not alone. I know it feels that way, especially in those early stages. It is so scary.
So much.
But there are a host of people you never imagined that you would get to do life with and be so deeply, passionately in love with on the other side of it, who are going to absolutely light you up. And, do it in your own time, but don't stop. Keep coming.
Yeah. Yeah, the story I tell over and over again is when I was right in my bottom, my absolute, everything was deconstructed. The foundation had been ripped up. I listened to Richard Rohr on Pete Holmes' what is it? You Made It Weird podcast. Yeah. But I listened to that episode with Richard Rohr, and it wasn't what he said that got me. It was the way that when Pete would ask a question about religious deconstruction, he would laugh. And there was something in that laugh where he was just like, yeah, I remember feeling that way.
Just non-threatened by the question.
Yeah, I grabbed onto that, and I was like, this guy has come to the other side, and he is able to laugh about this now. And in the years that have followed, like being able to be that person on the other side when people are in the middle of that, to just be like, yes, but as devastated as I am along with you, I am so happy for where you are going, because there is something incredibly free and beautiful right on the other side of this.
That's good stuff. Okay, will you tell everyone how they can find you? I assume they can search Heathen Podcast, and there's probably not too many options out there other than yours.
There are actually a couple Heathen podcasts.
Oh,
but,
wait, what?
Or not. There's Heathen in the name. I think we're the only
Heathen podcast.
Heathen
so
podcast.
Anywhere you get your podcasts, you can find us. Yeah. And if you follow us on Facebook, we are live every Thursday night right now doing Heathen Happy Hour. And this week we've got a special guest. So
we do have a special guest this Thursday night. So
Thursday, what time? What time Thursday?
7 p.m. Pacific.
7 p.m.
So late night
Pacific.
For the East Coasters, but it's worth it.
Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific.
Look how fast you are on the uptake.
you do these
fanciest live stream.
You do these musical happy hours because you both are phenomenal musicians, and Ben Grace, who joined us earlier, is also part of it. So the three of you do these phenomenal live music happy hours on Thursdays, and you've invited me to come along. So I'm going to join you on Thursday at 7 over on your Facebook's page, and we're going to do some music. And the theme, what's the theme again of the songs we're doing?
John's, Jack's, and Jason's.
So songs by John's, Jack's, and Jason's. And
guitars.
Just good old Mantar music. Because that's all I'm good at, you guys. I can't do all the fancy Disney songs that you guys do.
It's gonna be great.
So fun.
So that's gonna be super fun.
Colby, congratulations.
Yay!
We're so happy for you.
We love you. We love this book.
Woo! Thank you. You two are wonderful. Thanks for coming on. Good night, you two.
Good night. Bye.
All right. So those are our friends from Heathen. Okay, I'm going to get my friend Heather Lynn on the line here to share some more live music with us. So Heather Lynn, you've been so patient. Thank you so much. And while we get her logged up, oh, sweet, are you texting with her?
Yes, okay. I've been texting with her, and also, can we give a fun giveaway?
Yes.
Can we give a giveaway that's through your mom? Is that appropriate to do?
I don't know what that means. Giveaway through my mom?
To give away a book. She wants to pay for a giveaway.
Oh, of course. Sure.
She wants to
so this next giveaway is sponsored by my mom.
Michelle Hartman.
Oh, she's already picked one.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
So your mom picked a giveaway. It's to Michelle Hartman.
Okay, Michelle Hartman, you get a free book via Irma Martin. I don't know how I'm going to get your address. Is Irma going to send us the address?
Yep, we got it all figured out.
All right. Free book for Michelle Hartman via Irma Jean Martin. Thanks, Irma Jean. That's super cute. But let's give away another one while we get Heather Lynn on the line here. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
For reals?
Yep. I mean, at some point, a publisher might be like, okay, we're not giving away anymore, and then we'll just give them away, but it's fine.
Yeah, we got them. We're good. Okay, so here's a couple people I really want to give away.
So you've already picked out, Kate's already picked out winners from you people that have been participating all night long.
Mike Chrisman has been participating all night long, and I would like to give him a book.
Mike Chrisman, is that the guy who called me an elder millennial and then said I look 25? Mike, you did it. You earned yourself a free book. Well played, Mike. Well played. So message me, please, your address. I need to know where to send it. Hopefully you're still on. I just realized that some of these people might not be on anymore.
Oh, good. That's okay, though.
Oh, there. Michelle says, aw, thanks, Mama Irma.
Okay,
that's
and
fun.
Then lastly, which I just realized your mom likes to give away things anonymously, so she's probably real mad at me for publicly announcing
that's
that.
That's a good point.
I love you, Mom.
That makes it all better.
Okay, and then lastly, we've got a woman named Rebecca Ruth. Hopefully I'm saying their last name right again.
Okay.
Weishart.
Rebecca Ruth Weishart.
You get you a free book.
Get a free book. So if you're still on, hopefully send me a message and we will send you a free book. Thank you for being a part. Thank you for being a part of it tonight. Speaking of Mike Chrisman, our winner from earlier, he asked if I do speaking engagements. I do speaking engagements. Yes, I speak at my church almost every Sunday at sojourngrace.com, but then I will also travel throughout the year. And right now, folks are doing these like virtual guest speaking spots. So I guess I could do this for people where they're at.
Your mom says it's okay. She forgives me.
Oh, that's great. Odette says, Colby, your friends are awesome. I agree, Odette. I have awesome friends. I am a very lucky man. Dave says, let's watch you guys drain that Don Julio 1942. This is not draining tequila. This is sipping tequila. But it's so tasty. If y'all have never had, if you missed it earlier, I'm not giving away Don Julio 1942. This is mixed messages here, people. Sorry. I'm just showing you what I'm enjoying as I celebrate my book launch. Okay. Will you text Heather Lynn to let her know that... Okay, perfect. Heather Lynn, I'm sorry. I think I told you you'd be on an hour ago, and you've been so patient. Yeah. But Heather Lynn is our final musician for the evening, and I just adore her music. Oh, I'm getting all sorts of wrong buttons. Okay. All told, though, you guys, I'm really happy with how the clicking and the transitioning and the graphics have gone tonight, because there's a lot of ways that this could have gone poorly, and By the way, special shout out and thanks to Logan Martin. He was on earlier, played some music, but thanks to him and Ben Grace, who helped me to troubleshoot all the tech to get ready for tonight. We finally landed on this platform called Ecamm with 2 M's, Ecamm, and it's allowed me to do this, using a nice Canon DSLR camera for the live stream, to bring on Skype guests for split screen, to do all these graphics and overlays, and it all runs through the Mac world and Mac interface, which is my favorite. Heatherlyn, you're here!
Sure,
Oh my God!
Hi!
She's
This
the
is so
best.
weird. I've
Can she
never
get a
done
free
Skype to Facebook before.
And yet, now
That's
you
really
have.
cool.
So I'm really happy that you are here. Thanks for putting up with the extended time frame.
That's how it goes, right? Like,
Yeah.
strangeness happens. You've got to take your time. I mean, it's like major overarching narratives that tell us we can't take our time. So I say take your
Ooh.
time.
Yeah, thank you. I also blame Kate. She kept wanting to do giveaways, and that takes time. So
And that's so beautiful. Her beautiful, overflowing, generous heart
Yes.
is showing through tonight, and I love it.
I love it too. Heatherlyn, you and I got to know each other a number of years ago out in Marco Island, Florida, as we were at a small sort of get-together for people who were just in the midst of leading various communities and in some ways themselves through this shift, through this process of leaving conservative Christianity and finding something more progressive. And we met out there, and I fell in love with you. I fell in love with your music. I fell in love with your voice, both as a singer and as a songwriter, like what you say through your music. And so when I thought, who do I want to have on to celebrate this with me, you were 100% on that short list. So I'm really grateful that you made time for this.
I'm really grateful too.
Isn't this fun?
Yeah, thank you. You actually said something to me that weekend on that island. I almost said Marco Polo, and that's not accurate. So it's getting late for me. But you said something to me that weekend that I still think of to this day and even share with others time to time. And it's not necessarily something that you would think would be that profound, but it was a part of a shift for me because, I think we have all of these different narratives that are shaping our lives, and we need to get wise about what those narratives are so we can choose what kind of narrative we actually want to write with our lives. So I had said to you that I was sorry for something, and it was probably for nothing, right? Do you remember this moment?
A little bit, yeah.
I said sorry to you for something that, women, and many people do this, but women especially apologize all the time for their just basic existence, right? And you were like, an apology is not required or accepted. You were basically like, I don't accept your apology because it's so not necessary. And that started to really shift a lot for me. And I actually have women now say to me, you're really good at being careful about what you apologize for, and I really appreciate it. Yeah. So there's a little fun shifty thing. Shifted.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, that's all we have, all the time we have. So thank you for the kind words you said, Heather Lynn.
Yeah,
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, yeah, I'm ready for both. So.
Oh, yeah, I bet. Okay, would you please tell us about the song you're going to share and then share it with us?
Yeah, when you invited me on, I thought of several songs that might fit the topic. But I decided to actually write the very first song I wrote probably right after what I would consider my spiritual emancipation.
Wow.
My shift happened slowly over the course of years, actually, but in my early 20s, I had what I would consider spiritual emancipation, and that, alongside that, came the freedom to answer my call to song and to music, because so much, Kevin Garcia says that bad theology kills, and it does. And it can kill in so many ways. It can kill your dreams, and it can kill your soul, and tell you that you shouldn't follow your heart. And so for so long, I thought I was being selfish because I wanted to sing over people and heal them with music, So it's not my most sophisticated song, but it's the one that I wrote around that time, and it's related to. Do you want to hear a passage of scripture?
Yes. I do.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
You know, sometimes we progressives have to take a break from scripture, and I want to let people know that that's actually okay. I felt like I had an abusive relationship with scripture, like it abused me because of the psychology wrapped around it, and I had to actually set it aside for a while and only approach it in good company. But this is good. Matthew 11:28 through 30. Are you tired, worn out, burned out on religion? Then come to me. Get away with me and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me, and you'll learn to live freely and lightly. This is called Soul Nap. And the bright lights. I need a soul nap in the shade, and a warm breeze on my face, and a hammock between two trees. Oh, no worries today, no hurries. I'll stay and listen. Set yourself free. Recognize your need. Listen, if you want to make this world a better place, oh, you gotta give yourself a bit more grace. And listen. Oh, listen, yeah. Hey, And you know you need a vacation from all the sensational hype. You need a chance to break away, steal some gladness on your way, and assurance it's your human rights. Oh, no worries today, no hurries. You can stay and listen, oh, listen to your heart. Set yourself free. Recognize your need. Listen, if you want to make this world a better place, oh, you gotta give yourself a bit more grace. And listen, oh, listen, yeah. Hey, let yourself breathe. Hey, ooh, no worries for you today. No hurries, you can stay and listen, oh, listen with your heart. Set yourself free. to give yourself a bit more grace. Now listen. Oh, listen, yeah. Soul nap. I want to invite everybody to a soul nap.
Oh, it does. I love that. Listen, that is, for many people, the experience in their shift is they've found that, they were told to not listen. Like, this was what was given the message. Like, you don't trust. Like, the heart is wicked above all. So you can't trust what's happening in here. But then we start to break free from some of that and we realize, and Glennon said this earlier on the program, like that deep knowing is found in here. So thank you. And having the grace for yourself. Oh, man, people, have grace for yourself. This stuff is hard. And you're doing a great job. Heatherlyn, thank you.
Yeah, and it's okay to get messy sometimes. It's okay to not have all the answers. Yeah.
Okay, friends, how can so Faith said, what a beautiful message and song. I'm trying to scroll through so you can see some of the love that was happening here. Lots of love. Melissa Meyer, thank you, Heather Lynn. So good. Thank you, Heather Lynn.
Amy.
Such a huge gift. So, anyways, these people.
Awesome.
This is wonderful.
Thank you.
How can people find you and get more of your music?
Well, thank you for spelling my name correctly. I really appreciate it. Let me just adjust my screen to make sure. I think you did spell it correctly. Yes, you totally did. Oh man, thank you. So Heatherlyn Music everywhere. Heatherlyn Music on Facebook, on Twitter, and Instagram. Heatherlynmusic.com. Remember the music part. Every Wednesday night while we're sheltering in place, I'm doing a Wednesday night concert serenade. 7:00 Mountain Time because I'm in Denver. So would love to see some of you on there. Yeah.
Thank you for being here and celebrating with me and singing that.
Thank you so much for having me, man.
All right.
I'm thrilled for you. Congratulations.
Thank you. That means a lot. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Yeah, absolutely. Bye.
Oh, man, this has been fun. Okay. I've got one more treat for you, two more treats, because Kate's going to want to do another giveaway. So, Kate, let's give away one more book, shall we? Shall we? Are you out there?
Oh, right now?
Yes, right now.
Yay!
No, we don't have time for dillying or dallying.
I know. What if it's so hard for me to decide?
And then Heatherlyn, I think you can just drop off, and then I think I've got one more person jumping on at the end. I'm not sure if you leave, if the whole Skype thing will close, but I think it worked. So thank you, Heatherlyn. Okay, we do have one more giveaway because the sound effect says so.
Yes. I typed out this person's name at the very beginning, and they have been all the way through. So Odette Natalia.
Odette. Yes, I know Odette.
So she has just been with
Odette,
us through this.
This is for you.
Whoever she wants to send this to, she probably already has it herself.
I
love that. I love all the gifting tonight.
You are a beautiful, beautiful soul. You're such an encourager. I hope you're still on. Oh, you are. Yes.
That's why I sent it to her.
Yay. She's all right. Odette, so just let me know how to send it, where to send it to. Send me a Facebook message so that we can get these out in the mail.
Cool.
This has been more than I could have hoped for. The turnout has been more than I could have hoped for. The interaction and engagement, the love, the support, all the guests. I want to thank Glennon Doyle and Brian McLaren and Kevin Garcia. I want to thank Heathen Podcast. I want to thank my lovely wife for all she's done. Thank you to all of our live musicians, Ben Grace, Heather Lynn, Justin McRoberts, and Logan Martin. This has been so much fun. Like, honestly,
saying it's the best book launch ever.
The best book launch ever. That's really all I wanted to hear in life. So, it's been super fun. So if you didn't win, I'm so sorry. But you can buy it. So buy the book, I guess, if you want. I'm going to take away the time for giveaway because people don't think I'm still giving books away. And tell your friends about it. Tell your family about it. And thank you for... you can, again, follow me. I'm at Colby Martin on Instagram, Twitter, here on Facebook. Just click follow. And I've got one final benediction to offer all of you. and this will end our program together. I've invited my brother to come back on and share a song that I love. I forgot who wrote it. Is it The Brilliance? Is that who wrote it? Anyway, and so this song is a benediction. It goes with the theme of our night. This is a new way to think about faith as you undergo your shift. So this is one more time. I'm bringing on my brother Logan to share a song as our benediction. Ready, Logan?
Yep. Lost and weary traveler, searching for the way to go. Strangers, heavy-hearted, longing for someone you know. And may you find a light, and may you find a light, and may you find a light to guide you home. There are many travelers searching everywhere you go. Strangers who are searching, longing deeply to be known. May you find a light, and may you find a light, and may you find a light to guide you home, and may you find a light. And may you find a light, and may you find a light to guide you home.
Friends, may you stay open to the possibility that change is out there. That change is good. May you, like a cat wandering around the house, constantly be finding and searching the light and opening your belly, exposing and trust to the light, that maybe it just might change you and that change is good. May you have this sort of faith. And it can be as small as a mustard seed. As small as a mustard seed. May you have this openness to what could be, to what might be. It's been an honor to be with you tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. I am very excited for this book to come to your mailbox soon. I love you. Have a good night.